This is the complete Murewa Ayodele Storm run. His first 12-issue run, his Rogue Storm 3-issue run, and his Storm Earth Mightiest Mutant 5-issue run. This is one of the best series I've ever read, and he even get a chance to really finish the series like he wanted to. Let that sink in. And it's still one of the best.
There's something that happens in this story that I don't agree with, but I want your guys' opinion. So let me know in the comments. I'll let you know when we get to that point. My name is Dorian. This is SCN Comics. We are starting our covers of Storm #1. Our story starts off with Storm, who must still have that Wakandan bread. Like, ooh, look at how she's living. Look at how she is living. Lord have mercy. And she's going through her different outfits that she wore in the past. She's been a queen of Wakanda. You can definitely see that. She's been a regent of Morocco. She's been an X-Man. She's been an Avenger. We're going to bring this up later on. She's also been called a weather witch. But today in ATL, Georgia, she is just simply Storm. And when you look at the place that she's living in, like, you could tell, man, like, Black Panther is just like, look, I got you. Even though we're not married no more. Hell, I'm not even a king no more. But my money is long like train smoke. So I got you. Now, she's also interested in running for Congress. And she's about to have a press conference or an announcement outside of her luxurious home in ATL. But before we do that, we got to go back 7 days to Oklahoma City. You see those cooling towers? That means that facility is nuclear. You see that big old ball of light? That's an explosion. That means what just happened there was a nuclear explosion. Now, besides the blast, what's the one thing you got to worry about when it comes to a nuclear explosion? That's right, radiation. And Storm and Frenzy show up just in normal clothes. Now, I know that this is probably a part of the story, and this makes a more interesting story, but you're not going to tell me that somebody who has been X-Man, has been Avenger, has been Queen of Wakanda, you're not going to tell me that she didn't have access to some kind of suit that would have protected her from the radiation when she has a house that floats above the city. Like, you can't tell me that. Let me know in the comments. Do you feel like she should have had time to put on the suit to protect herself because she understands that this was a nuclear explosion, or she just needed to react because that's just what she does, and the faster she reacts, the faster she can save people? Let me know in the comments. Now, first thing, as soon as I saw Frenzy, I'm like, oh, time I thought she was on X Factor. She'll bring it up later, so it's not like she's not acting like she's not on X Factor. But they're there to perform what Storm says, miracles. So Storm's like, the streets are empty, the people must be trapped. That's when Frenzy brings up she can call her X Factor teammates, but then all of a sudden, a shockwave comes at them. And the only way to combat that shockwave is with another shockwave that Storm produces. So Storm and Frenzy find some people that are trapped in the rubble. And while all that's going on, Storm is still combating the shockwave with her own shockwaves. But Frenzy picks up some rubble and she finds a guy wearing an Orchis shirt. And at first she's like, oh, Orchis, huh? And Storm's like, look, we help everybody, Orchis included. And that's what continues to happen. Storm and Frenzy finds people in the rubble and Storm stops the shockwaves. But then Frenzy yells, Storm! And this shockwave is just a tad bit bigger than the other one. And Storm has to do what she needs to do to stop it. But as that's going on, a piece of shrapnel comes and catches her right in the shoulder, the chest area. And it's a pretty bad, pretty deep wound because when she pulls it out, I mean, there's blood coming from her mouth, so it hits something vital. So she uses her powers and she somehow closes the wound, or at least stops the bleeding. And then Frenzy's like, we need to get you some medical attention. And Storm's like, nah, I need to go to the source and stop these shockwaves. As she uses her lightning and she disappears. So as Storm flies there, she can see the dead fish in the lakes, and you can tell there's a whole bunch of radiation here. Now she tries to make it snow to kind of calm down the nuclear fallout, but I mean, it's only going to do but so much. So all of a sudden there's another shockwave that comes out of nowhere. It catches Storm off guard, is headed right for the townspeople, and Frenzy has to pull off her best Incredible Hulk impression, and she does a thunderclap to stop it. So now Storm is starting to throw up because she is showing all kinds of signs of radiation poisoning. She picks up a metal door to try to help protect her from the radiation because she's headed straight for the core. And what's at the core? What's always at the core of these stories? It's a mutant. It's always a mutant. A mutant child, to be exact. And they're like, I'm sorry, I can't stop myself. So Storm is using the door to try to protect herself. It's not doing much, if it's not even doing anything at all. And the child is like, kill me. And then Storm goes, rolls the door, grabs the child, and goes, enough lives have been lost today. So 3 days later, we see this big old, to me, look like a celestial head, but I don't think it's a celestial head, but it's an alien head at the center of this nuclear facility. And everybody, for once, this is a rare occasion, is blaming aliens for what happened and not the mutants. They're actually praising the mutants for coming to help. And that if their mutant friends weren't there to protect them, then they might be up shit's creek. So Iron Man shows up. And he's like, I ran all the numbers. I scanned the whole area. It was doing some cutting edge stuff. Like, I'd have loved to talk to them, but, you know, they're dead. And then Storm's like, how many times have you ran the numbers? And Iron Man's like, I don't ask you how you create indoor rain clouds, now do I, Storm? Storm's like, Tony? He goes, all right. I ran it 866,978,275 times. I even used other machines besides my own, like from Reed Richards, Lunona Lafayette, for those who don't know, that's Moon Girl, Forge, Riri Williams, and even your former sister-in-law, Shuri. And everything is coming back the same. That the explosion wasn't caused by the alien technology this place was using, it was the birth of the new mutant. So Tony's like, what are you gonna do? Storm's like, I don't know. Because now Storm has a choice. She can either stay quiet and let the alien technology take the blame for all this and keep the mutant goodwill going, or she tells the truth and she kills all the goodwill and she puts an even bigger target on mutants' backs. So now we cut back to Atlanta, Georgia, where we have Storm. She's standing at the podium. She coughs and now there's blood on her hands because she should be taking care of that radiation poison, but she's not. And she goes, I am Storm, Mistress of the Element. And she lets everybody know, and everybody's watching, like the Uncanny X-Men in New Orleans, the Avengers at Avengers headquarters, there's in outer space. And she lets everybody know that, yes, it was a mutant that caused the explosion. So, of course, everybody in the crowd's now all pissed off. The X-Men are like, we already didn't have enough to deal with. Now there's this. The Avengers are the Avengers, kind of impartial. And everybody at that press conference dipped out on Storm. But I want to ask you a question. She's running for Congress, so she wants to be a politician. And she did what most politicians don't do. She told the truth. Do you want your politicians to tell you the truth, or do you want them to lie to you? What if the greater good is for them to lie? Do you want the greater good, or do you want the truth? Let me know in the comments. So we know that Storm's dealing with the radiation poisoning. On the last page, we see that probably won't be a problem because a cosmic entity is interested in Storm. But not just any cosmic entity, it's Eternity. Eternity wants something to do with Storm. I can't wait to find out what that is.
Earth's Mightiest Mutant has 24 hours to live. My name is Dorian. This is SEO Comics. We're continuing our coverage of Storm with number 2. Our story starts off in Lagos, Nigeria. Hope I pronounced that right. And like I said in the beginning, she has 24 hours left. And we have this ship that's trying to warn these pirates to stay away or else. And the dude that's leading the pirates is a dude that wants or else. He's like, my wife said worse things to me. Now she's in my house cooking my bloody food and keeping my bed warm. And before the night's over, you'll be begging me to take you too. Are you One Piece fans? That dude got the Conqueror's hockey. And while he was saying that, they shot a missile at the ship. And it hit. And then we see Storm, where she's most comfortable, in the sky. She's flying towards the ship. She's freezing the ocean water as she skates on it. And she's doing what she does best, even though she only has 24 hours to live. And mind you, she doesn't know she has 24 hours to live. This is our information. But she knows she's sick. She knows she doesn't have a lot of time left, but she's still going to do what she does, and that's save lives. And the dude that has a Conqueror's hockey, well, he meets the Marvel version of Luffy, as Storm puts 2 boots right into his chest. And his crew got lit up like some Christmas lights. So Storm lands on the deck of the ship. She's coughing, like badly. One of the crewmates grabs a water bag, but then the captain stops him. And the captain's like, thanks for saving us, because you would have died. So it's the least you can do is thank her. Then he's like, but we need you off the ship because we don't want you accidentally igniting our fuel or anything like that. Just hating on Storm after she just saved his life, because she's pretty much getting blamed for what happened in Oklahoma, even though, again, that was not her fault. So she got blood all over her sleeve and her hand, and the captain's pretty much telling her to get her mutant ass right up on out of here. So she just shakes it off, which me personally, I'd have lit that mother up. But she goes back to her palatial home in Atlanta. You can't tell me that ain't Wakanda bread. That is Wakanda bread. She might not be the queen no more, but she still got the residuals. She cleans out her aquarium, which is so big she got to put on a diving suit. She feeds a baby hippo. She feeds a mommy or daddy hippo. She also feeds some capybaras. My daughters love capybaras. She takes a shower, and in that shower, she sees that her hair's starting to fall out. She has 10 hours left. So she goes to this junkyard, and this dude's like, hold on, do you got an ID or do you have an appointment note? He's like, you look like one of those X-Men. She goes, I'm sorry, I can't find my card, but I'm an Avenger. She finally finds the card. She hands it to him. He goes, you are Avenger. Right this way, madam. And she goes, but the gates are locked. He goes, just keep going, doesn't matter. The junkyard's an illusion. As she walks right through. It's an unknown location in Arkansas. It's called the Night and Day Hospital for the Extra Mundane. So then the doctor walks in and he's all telling her this and that, so on and so forth. Then he finally looks up and he sees her and he's like, oh, you're X-Men. She goes, I'm an Avenger, but I was the X-Men leader. And he goes, we don't treat X-Men. And she's like, that sounds like discrimination, which after what she just went through on the ship, I'd have lit this mother up too. And this punk ass got the nerve to say that, no, we don't discriminate against mutants. 80% of my patients are actually mutants, and we treat them for free. We just don't treat X-Men. We discriminate on them. This arrogant motherfucker would have got fried messing with me, boy. I got lit this motherfucker up like the 4th of July. So then this greedy son explains how when him and Night Nurse started this hospital, that he would get donations from the Avengers. Obviously, Tony Stark's a billionaire. He would get donations from the Fantastic Four. He would get donations from Doctor Strange and even Moon Knight with his cheap butt. He's also a billionaire. He would kick in too. But when it comes to X-Men, he would get nothing. Which is crazy because Professor Xavier is a billionaire. Emma Frost is a billionaire. Archangel is a billionaire. They got some bread around there. They ain't broke. Trust me. And considering how Storm is living, she ain't broke either. But she takes off her brooch, I think it is. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong, but she takes it off her neck, says it belonged to my mother, hands it to the doctor. Now all of a sudden, the doctor's like, oh, now he treat X-Men. Again, I'd have fricasseed his ass. Now, the best part about this whole situation is this dude's a mutant. This dude was on Krakoa. But what the hell do you need a doctor on Krakoa? So he left. So a lot of this is just spite, which, again, I'd have fricasseed this dude. But he also is like the mutant version of Dr. House because he has no bedside manners whatsoever. He's barely talking to Storm. And all of a sudden he goes, oh yeah, by the way, I can't really treat you because you're too far gone. But I'm going to refer you to a person who can help you. Oh, and you got 6 hours left. If I'm Storm, as I was leaving, I'd have lit his ass up like a Christmas tree. So she's flying to wherever she got to go All of a sudden, there's this lightning strike that hits her, and then this like whale comes out of nowhere. It looks like a killer whale, hits her down. She's falling, and she's in like this unknown location around like Haiti. There's only like 10 minutes left. She stops herself from falling, and then all of a sudden, Dr. Voodoo comes out of nowhere and goes, "Hello, Storm. I will be attending you this fine evening." And I've been like, look, I've been hated on twice in a 24-hour period. There will not be a third, or I will light your ass up. Are these the last days of Storm? Well, if they are, it looks like she's going to go spend time with her family. Her ex-family. My name is Dorian. This is SCM Comics. We're continuing our coverage of Storm with number 3. Our story takes place in Haiti, where Dr. Voodoo is consulting with Storm. He can see all these death butterflies that are around her because she has all the radiation. So he begins his treatment. And the treatment seems to be a success. To the point where he says, at this moment, you are the healthiest person in the universe. But yet and still, these death butterflies are still around you. So he pretty much says that these death butterflies know something that I don't. So I advise you that you do not use your powers for the next 7 days, which I know is going to be hard for you. And the Storm has reminded him, like, look, there was a time where I had to go years without using my powers. I think I can go 7 days. So he's like, all right, you got somewhere to go? And she goes, I do. So now we cut to Louisiana. All of a sudden we see Wolverine go, and all of a sudden you hear a snitch, and he goes, it can't be Nimrod. Nightcrawler bams right next to Gambit, so now he smells like farts. He gets to the treetops and he's like, can't really see anything from here. All of a sudden Rogue takes off. When I mean she takes off, she took off. Breaks the door down and is like, get away from those kids. And then Storm is standing right there, is like, okay, Rogue, don't hurt me. So then Rogue goes and hugs the hell out of Storm. Nightcrawler bams Wolverine and Gambit there, so now they all smell like farts. So then Rogue turns around and goes to Gambit, is like, you're fixing the door. And then Gambit's like, but Logan. And Logan's like, she said you. So then they want to get in the group hug. Wolverine try to sneak off, but then Storm grabs him and brings him in. And then they get right to it. Right to training. Day 2 of our powers. You got Wolverine and you got Storm, and they're sparring together. Having fun. Day 3, they're getting a little more serious. There's high knees that have drawn blood, punches to the face. Day 4, there's suplexes and chokeholds. By day 5, they're just having a slugfest. And Wolverine's like, don't get up, Aurora. This isn't training no more. This is going to be a beatdown. And you know the line. I'm the best that is of what I do, and what I do is not very. As she knocks the bejesus out of him. Tackles him, gets on top of him, and looks like she's about to deliver a blow. And all of a sudden, she picks him up. They start kissing, and they start getting naked right in that field during a storm. Like a real storm, not the person. And if you're sitting there and you're like, wow, Wolverine clapped them cheeks. This ain't the first time. I don't know what book this was in. All I know is that Wolverine was having relations with somebody. They were hiding underneath the covers because somebody came in and started talking to Wolverine. Once they left, the covers came up and it was Storm. I was like, oh man, that short motherfucker is getting the nose. Oh, I was jealous. I know. Why am I getting jealous of a fictional character? I know. I understand. I totally understand. I was still jealous. Truth be told, I was more upset for T'Challa because you let that get away to the point to where now you gotta run clapping your ex-wife's cheeks. Hope you feel better. Axe, I hope you feel horrible talking about the high priest and old our marriage. You are the high priest. Just gonna let a literal goddess just slip through your fingers. What the hell's wrong with you? I will literally drink her bathwater. Anyway, day 6, they finally make it to a bed when all of a sudden she is visited by this big, huge looking penguin. It is a messenger, and he's saying that God Emperor, God, he loves that God Emperor thing, don't he? The Sorcerer Supreme, Doom, wants to meet with her. Well, technically, she can't use her powers, so she can't just fly there.
So it took some convincing, but the messenger agreed that she can ride on his back or its back to go see Mr. God, Emperor, Sorcerer Supreme Doom. But that she has to dress accordingly. She can't just go on the road. So the first thing out of Rogue's mouth is, "You knocking boots with Wolverine?" All I was thinking to myself is, H-Town, 1993. All my old heads know what I'm talking about. And Storm's like, "Yeah, but I don't want everybody to know, so lower your voice." And then she explains the situation, how she needs one of Rogue's dresses, and also too that she has to dip out. So she's kind of like doing a one-night stand on Wolverine, which Wolverine should be used to that. So the Rogue's like, "Okay, but you can't use your powers, and you're meeting with that guy, with Doom." And then Storm's like, "Victor, he's mostly harmless." And Rogue's like, "Yeah, until he's not. Well, worst case scenario, aim for his eyes." And then we see Storm flying on the messenger bird with death butterflies dead behind them. So the Wolverine wakes up and goes, "Morning, Rogue. Storm's gone, huh?" Then we see Doom. God Emperor Doom. And this is leading up to pretty much one world under Doom. We're covering so much stuff, I don't know if we can cover that. Have you lost your mind? Of course we want to cover that. Like, all day. All day. I just won't sleep. That's all. Just won't sleep. This might be my favorite issue so far. Whew. Starts off slow. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Starts off slow. Man, once we get to the middle and the end, whew, number fireworks. And then we get a new character. Grand opening, grand closing, I'm pretty sure. My name is Doran. This is SEM Comics. We're continuing our coverage of Storm number 4. Our story starts off 6 days ago when they showed Dr. Voodoo and he was healing Storm from her radiation poisoning. But see, what he didn't tell Storm is that he couldn't do it by himself. He had to make a deal with an ancient spirit called Egon. And the deal was that she couldn't use her powers for 7 days. But then we cut to Latveria in the present day where Storm is riding Doom's messenger bird to his castle. And then we cut inside the castle where Storm is taking a bath. And then she's putting on some lingerie that Rogue has. And I'm like, oh my goodness gracious. I don't care what anybody says. Storm was good. Storm looks damn good. And that belongs to Rogue. So I know Gambit's like, ooh, she better bring that back. And since Storm doesn't have her powers right now, or can't use her powers right now, Rogue made sure to throw in the lingerie that has 2 throwing knives in the back. And then she comes down in this sexy green dress that Rogue had. And the first thing out of Doom's mouth is, woo, you got on that green dress. You must know what I like. So Doom never gets off his high horse whatsoever for any reason. And he's like, don't even worry about ordering off of a menu. I got you covered. I know what you like. It's coming out now. And then we cut to years ago in Cairo, Egypt, where we have a young Storm giving her daddy the blues. She's like, I think we should wait till mommy gets home so she can do the cooking. Her dad's like, hold on, player. Like, your mama might be a better cook than me, but I ain't bad myself now. But then she goes, but the soup is slimy. And he's like, because that's the okra, baby. Like, taste it. Trust me, you'll like it. So she's still giving her daddy the blues, talking about that's what a bad cook would say. At this point, I'd have been like, girl, you don't eat that damn food. So then she goes, well, I lived a long life. Her dad's like, Aurora, you're 5. And she's like, oh, I'll tell mom I love her. He was like, you could tell her herself when she gets home. Now eat. And then she does. And then he's like, so? And she's like, it's really good. And it became her favorite dish. See? Little kids don't know no better. So she eats it up and she asks Doom, how'd you get my father's gumbo recipe? And Doom being Doom goes, I'm Doom. And if you had a mic, that's pretty much when he would drop it. So dessert starts to come out. And then he pretty much says how he feels like the mutants are getting a bad rap, just like he always got a bad rap. So from this point forward, the mutants are his people. And if they mess with the mutants, then they're messing with Doom. Like, you guys have to see, like, the Donald Trump comparisons here. Like, whew. God, Emperor Doom is now our president. Again. But then he's like, another statement needs to be made.
as the guards bring out the pastry chef, and he goes, I want you guys to draw and quarter him right on the pastry table because Doom's abhors, I think I pronounced it right, I don't know, you can correct me later, but Doom's abhor was incomplete. All of a sudden you see one throwing knife and it hits the guard right in his hand who's holding the sword, and the other throwing knife is headed right for Doom, which he catches with a spell. So the Storm's like, leave that man alone, and Doom puts a spell on there. He's like, your winds could have easily blew back the guards. You flew in here on my messenger bird when you could have easily just flown here yourself. So he's like, you lost your powers, and you're going to need them for the task I have ahead. But rejoice, because Doom has the ability to give you back your powers, my mutant ambassador. So Storm loses it, and electricity starts flowing around her. She's like, I haven't lost my powers. And if you keep talking the way you're talking, you're about to be scorched, God Emperor Doom. And as soon as he said that, all of a sudden a hand comes out of nowhere and impales her right through her chest and her stomach. And then the ancient spirit that made the deal with Dr. Voodoo says, the deal was for 7 days, not 6.5 days. So since you felt like you could just cheat me, I'm just taking life. And since I'm here, I'm also go ahead and take this planet too. So you know Doom ain't having nothing, is he? He starts attacking this ancient spirit called Egon, and he goes, the spirit goes, it's been a while since I've eaten the Sorcerer Supreme. Doom hits him with another spell. He's like, hey, calm down. Don't overcook yourself now. I was like, what? As for Storm, she has a fractured skull, a burst jugular, broken spine, punctured heart, and splintered ribs. She was dead before she hit the ground. And then we see a young Aurora, who seems to be in heaven, and she sees her daddy, and she's right back to being a kid again. If any of you guys ever lost a parent, then you kind of feel for this moment. I know I did. She's like, where's mommy? I got so much want to tell you. My first crush, my friends at Westchester, my new home in Atlanta, my wedding. I was a queen of Wakanda. I know you always call me your princess, but I was a queen, and I saved the world. Saved the world so many times. And her dad goes, we know, we saw, we're so proud of you. And then she goes, you're not taking me with you, are you? And he goes, no, baby girl, I'm not. So you got more things you got to do down there. And since you was transitioning here, let's figure I'd say hi. So now she's the grown Storm that we know, and she goes, tell mom I love her. It's like, I will. She goes, thank you, Dad. He goes, I love you, Aurora. And then we see her with Eternity as he goes to me, my eternal Storm, as she comes crashing down on Egon and pretty much takes him out and probably saved Doom's ass because he was about to get eaten up by that dude. So now my question to you guys, now that Storm has the power of a cosmic entity, is she more powerful than Doom? Is she on the same level as the Phoenix? Please let me know in the comments. I've been trying to record this opening for like 5 minutes. Like, I cannot stress how good this book is. Murewa Ayodele, I hope I pronounced your name right, because I don't want to disrespect you. But you are doing God's work when it comes to this book. Fantastic. Fantastic. Let's just get into it. My name is Dorian. This is SCM Comics. We continue our coverage of Storm with number 5. Our story starts off in the Oblivion Void, where it states, before there was everything, there was nothing. Before there was space and time, existence was empty. Before there was a universe, there was oblivion. Then it goes, every great artist steals. Out of nowhere, from oblivion, all of a sudden, there was this huge, ever-expanding universe that came out of nowhere. Where did that come from? The first great artist, Eternity. He stole the space from Oblivion 13 billion years ago. And now Oblivion wants it back. So then we come back to Storm and Doomstad and Egon, who was talking big before. Yeah, no, he ain't talking that big mess no more. This one's high and mighty guy is sitting there like, please, I saved your life. And Storm goes, my host body's life, not mine. And you took it back. So the Egon's like, spare me, I beg you. Like, he has turned so quick. Storm is like, you're a spirit. You can never truly die. But under colossal atmospheric pressure, you'll take a form that's a little more easier to consume. So yes, Storm's about to eat him. So you can tell Storm is not at the wheel right now. And she does just that. After she swallows him, now she lands hard and is like, now you. Talking about God, Emperor, Sorcerer Supreme, I rule everything with an iron fist, Doom. And Doom's like, no. You're the one in danger here. You brought that demon to my nation. You endangered my people with that demon. Now, you're going to leave here, or you're going to suffer the wrath of Doom. She just got finished clapping the cheeks of a demon that was giving you all you wanted and more, and now you decide to talk to her? Come on now, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about when it comes to Doom. So then we cut to the dimension of manifestations. 3 billion years ago. And Eternity's like, you have surely gone mad. No, I will not do such a thing. And Oblivion's like, nah, homeboy. You want to take up all this space? Well, I officially don't have the room to contain my twin sister Death anymore. So I suggest you take her and she goes to your universe. And this is being heard by the Living Tribunal. Haven't seen him in a while. And he pretty much says, we'll settle this, will we always settle it? Trial by combat. And he takes that big old hammer of his and he strikes the ground. So Eternity always has like a stand-in, has an avatar that always fights for him. And Oblivion, real deal. He's like, nope, I'll handle this. So the belt that he wears that has all the skulls, those are all the different avatars that Eternity has thrown at Oblivion. And they all have fell. And this is going to be no different as he takes out this one too. Eternity has never beaten Oblivion in a trial by combat. And it looks like Storm has taken out Sorcerer Supreme Doom. But not really. You see, Doom is doing his best Naruto impression and doing a shadow clone jutsu to try to fight Storm, which isn't working because she's taking them all out with the greatest of ease. Come to find out, he's still eating dinner in his castle. You got a whole bunch of Doom bots trying to repair the dining room. All of a sudden, this magical javelin comes through the window and lands at the dining room table. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I give Doom a lot of but this was pretty cool with him. As he's still eating his meal, he goes, if you expect me to beg and grovel, then you have surely mistaken whose presence you're in. If you expect me to be afraid of you, then you don't know whose body you've taken possession of. Aurora Moreau will not allow you to take a life of an unarmed man. She'll resist you if you try. And that's exactly what happens. So then Eternity, I'm assuming that's who's in Storm's body, is like, it seems you know my host a great deal. Very well, Victor Von Doom. It seems like you have escaped certain death. And takes off. And as he's about to eat a piece of steak, he goes, it is death who evades my wrath. So now we cut back to the dimension of manifestations, in the present time. And Oblivion's like, I miss my sister, and I want her back. And the Eternity's like, yeah, have her back. Like, please, by all means, take her. So then Oblivion gets pissed off and is like, oh, I can have her back, huh? You greedy robber. You don't give me any space to have her. Like, where the hell am I going to put her? Right? And he gets all big and he turns into a snake. And he's like, you know what? There's only one solution to this. We need to end you so I can have my territory back. And woo, my goodness. The Living Tribunal comes out of nowhere and pops Oblivion right in his head with that big ass hammer. And he goes, look, you don't make the rules around here. All right. Hell, I don't make the rules around here. The one above all makes the rules around here. All right. And I just enforce them. You don't decide when the universe ends, when we start over. All right. He does, not you. So you need to learn your place, as he puts his foot on his head. And while the Living Tribunal's putting a beat down Oblivion, a single tear was shed for his sister. The Living Tribunal saw it, Attorney saw it, but more importantly,
the one above all saw it. And he was moved, as we see the House of Ideas. And all of a sudden, there is a shift. Felt in Asgard, on Earth. Spider-Man's like, this better not be another Spider-Verse going on. No, homie, we don't need no more of those. Phoenix felt it, and she knows it instantly has something to do with Storm. And the Living Tribunal, who just got finished putting the beat down on Oblivion, now says that there will be another trial by combat between Oblivion and Eternity. So this time, whoever wins gets everything. The universe, death, infinity, everything. And the loser gets hammered out of existence. We already seen how the Living Tribunal uses that hammer. The Living Tribunal turns to Eternity and is like, who shall be your champion? And then we go to Atlanta, where we see Storm with her hippos, and she's crying her butt off. On the cover of this book, it says Earth's Mightiest Mutant, Storm. With this whole Eternity thing, my goodness, that is not a false statement. You're about to see in grand fashion. My name is Dorian. This is SCM Comics. We continue our coverage of Storm with number 6. Our story starts off with Storm, an actual storm, and the narrator saying Thor of the Asgardians, Sango of the Orisha, Chak of the Hawau, Susano of the Amatakani. That was a rough one, I'm not gonna lie. And Zeus of the Olympians, which we all know. Storm gods are fierce in battle, and Aurora Monroe is no obsession. So it's finally decides to come out the storm, and she's with her hippos and her capybaras, and we see that Maggot is with her. I ain't seen Maggot in a long time. For those of you who don't know who Maggot is, see those two bugs that are with him that are huge? Well, they're like his digestive tract, you might as well say. Whatever they eat, he pretty much ingests and can absorb. And they can eat anything. When I mean anything, anything. And the narrator is quick to say that the Storm Sanctuary, which is right above Atlanta, is her home and normally peaceful. But when it needs to be, it could transform into a battleship. And the name of this battleship is Thundercloud. So then we see her, and she is getting ready for battle. Put on her battle armor, grabbing her spear. Why? Because a fugitive is with her, Charles Xavier. And Storm is cooking them something to eat and talking to him. You know, they're catching up and so on and so forth. I'm sorry. Storm can cook too. My goodness, if this was a real woman, I tell you what. Again, T'Challa, that was some dumb. So Professor Xavier is pretty much like, I appreciate that you haven't alerted the Avengers of my whereabouts just yet. And Storm goes, you know I made you a hot meal. Because typically when these manhunts happen, the survival rate is extremely low. And this one, quite possibly, might be your last one. And if you've forgotten, Charles, we don't have Krakoa no more. So when you die, you stay dead. I mean, she didn't, but that semantics. So then she goes, why are you really here, Charles? He's like, it's funny you talk about coming back from the dead, because I want to raise the dead one last time. So then we cut to San Francisco in the present time, and Storm's ship is being boarded. Her and Maggot are ready to defend whoever comes through that portal. Just said portal, so that should tell you who's coming through. Yes, the X-Men are here to get Professor Xavier. And they're there because the Heifer called them and asked for the help. Like, did Raid on Great Malcolm even happen? Like, are we supposed to forget about this whole thing? Like, I don't understand. Like, Rogue is cool with the Heifer. How? Like, you just got into it with this woman. And now everything is like water under the bridge. And Scott, same thing. Like, they beat Beast down. I mean, beat the fur off that dude. He even said that in the book. And yet and still, now all of a sudden, everything is cool. We're going to bring back Professor Xavier and bring him right to you. Like, what in the hell is going on? It's like, is the hatred of Professor Xavier the reason why you're wanting to deal with this heifer? Because you know she's evil too. She hates mutants. Okay, I'm done talking about it. Anyway,
X-Men are here for Professor Xavier. Storm's like, no, you're not taking them. Go home. So Magic's like, we can't do that, Aurora. And Temper seems to be the only one that does not want to do this. And she's like, please. So Scott goes, if there's going to be any kind of peaceful coexistence between us and the humans, then we need to be as accountable from the people that we deem it from. Professor is no exception. We're taking them back to Great Mountain. So her Storm goes, a day will come when you will desire such an exception, Scott. You will bless the heavens on that day that I am who I am. And when that day comes, I will put my life on the line for you too. But today, this man is under my protection. So with those words being said, the fight's on. And Scott is in full Captain America form. He's like, get Omega. Shield up for Professor Xavier's telepathy and keep him busy. Juggernaut, you got Maggot. Psylocke and I will retrieve Professor and withdraw. Storm cannot unleash her full power without destroying her ship. So Magic, Temper, give her hell. Now he said that, but the fight ain't going nowhere near like that. Temper tries to hit Storm with her powers, doesn't work. Maggot try to hit Psylocke. Storm sends Kid Omega and Psylocke just flying. Juggernaut has Maggot on the ground, and Cyclops is using his optical blast on Storm. She's blocking it with her powers. And I mean, this dude is like really pouring it on. Like his ruby quartz visors break. He's blasting so hard. And all of a sudden, we see this narration, and it goes, you failed to alter the battlefield in your favor. You set no traps. Nothing but heart and goodwill. Very well. Watch and learn, child. As eternity takes over. Let me just specify by saying, these cosmic entities, they have no chill. Like, people were all scared about the Phoenix because Phoenix had no chill. Eternity's no different. You're about to find out. Eternity goes, you have fought well, brave mutant. Make peace with your existence. Scott Summers, leader of the X-Men. And all of a sudden sends out this blast. And even Professor Xavier is like, oh, Scott, what have I done? Everybody is like, Scott, Cyclops. As we see him frozen over, like eyelids. It looks bad. It looks really bad. Juggernaut's like, gloves are off, and tears off Maggot's arm. Just off, gone. And Eternity's like, you think you scare me? I've seen Oblivion rip out the heart of beings that can collapse stars into quasars like it was nothing. Compared to my brother, you're weak. So out of nowhere, she regurgitates Egon, because, you know, she swallowed him after she collapsed the hell out of him. And she goes to Maggot and is like, hey, look, I need you to ingest this. It's from a being that gave a Sorcerer Supreme all he wanted. And I know a lot of you guys would say that Doom was going to win that fight, but trust me, Egon, all he wanted to do was eat Doom. Was telling him, hey, calm down. I don't want my food to overcook. Like, he was going to eat him. Anything that Doom was throwing at him wasn't doing a damn thing to him. So Eternity goes, eat and heal, and then become my Omega Maggot. I don't know how I feel about what I just said, but hey, we're going to go with it. So while all that was going on, Eternity's been sending winds at Juggernaut, and obviously he's been resisting. And he goes, nothing can stop the Juggernaut. And Eternity goes, why don't we test that theory? Eternity uses cosmic winds to pick up the Juggernaut, stabs both shoulders with cosmic spears, and then goes, immortal headbutt, like we're playing Mortal Kombat or something. And crack Kane's helmet, and he is down and done. So now most of the X-Men are out of the ship. Cyclops is still alive somehow. Don't ask me how, but he is. And Temper is trying to help him out. Psylocke is talking to Beast. Beast is in the engine room. And the engine room is powered, I believe, by a dead Celestial. I think. I could be wrong. Let me know if I'm wrong. But it looks like a Celestial. And it's dead. It's gotta be. So Psylocke's like, alright, Beast, blow it up. But then Professor Xavier comes out of nowhere and goes, Beast. And then we see they're right over their other former home that's in ruins. Utopia. Now, in West Coast Avengers, Storm gave Blue Bolt a 2-piece and a biscuit. Actually, there was no biscuit because he was asleep after the 2-piece. But before she did that, she told him that she doesn't use lightning, she is lightning. And this
she's about to meet some people that are just like her. My name is Dorian. This is SCM Comics. We continue our coverage of Storm. With number 7. Our story starts off with the far reaches of the universe in the near future. Looks like his Beta Ray Bill is down. Cosmic Ghost Rider is also down. Now, I'm pretty sure this is Beta Ray Bill. Why? Because the Twilight Sword is right there. And the Silver Surfer comes out of nowhere, picks it up, and says, "Please allow me to borrow your weapon, to borrow your strength." And he puts it inside his board, and the board absorbs it. So now, not only does he have a portion of the power of Cosmic, now, with the Twilight Sword, he has a portion of Surtur's power. The comic book says that right now, he's probably the most powerful being in the universe, which, I'm sorry, there's a red-headed female and a white-headed female that are walking around here with cosmic entities inside of them that might have an issue with that. But anyway, we can do power scale on another day. But even as powerful as Soul Surfer is right now, he still answers to somebody, which is Galactus. And on the next page, all we see is Galactus, and he's like, "Surfer, assist me." Dude, all I heard was Kevin Hart saying, "Help me! Help me! Help me!" Because the Black Winter's back. Yes. And not only is he back, but come to find out, he is an aspect of Oblivion. Now we cut to the Amazon rainforest in Brazil, where there is a green anaconda that is stalking Storm, and his head is as big as she is. And somehow this thing swallowed a tainted form of the Super Soldier Serum. I was wondering the same thing, just give it a second, we're about to find out. And right before this thing is about to swallow Storm whole, and I mean whole, because it didn't need to restrict nothing, all of a sudden Maggot comes out of nowhere and punches the hell out of this thing. He talks a little mess to the snake, but then he gets whipped by his tail. So Storm's like, "You need to pace yourself. You gotta remember, you just fought the Juggernaut. And you ripped your arm off." So as Storm is following this thing, it's gotta be at least 30 to 40 feet long. Like, this thing is huge. So Storm's like, "Look, I ain't got the time nor the patience for this right now." So now we go to 7 days ago, Storm Sanctuary in Atlanta, where Iron Man just watched Storm come down what it looks to be like a see-through robe. And I'm thinking to myself, like, man, it would be hard for me to wear that suit. Pun intended. So he's like, "You need a better security system." So Storm's like, "You don't think I know that you sneak your lady friends in here so you can show off the baby hippos?" And Iron Man's like, "I didn't think you knew about that." And all I can hear is Deion Sanders in my head when Storm says, "This is my house." So the Tony's like, "It's not that, it's that you really don't do well with secrets." And Storm's like, "I'm going to bed, Tony. And yes, I have a real mattress. I don't just float in the air when I sleep." And Iron Man's like, "That's not what the child told us." Don't bring that up again. Like, don't bring that up. I'm still pissed about that. And that happened a decade ago. So Storm's like, "Look, just because I chose to tell everybody about the whole mutant thing in Oklahoma doesn't mean that I don't know how to keep secrets. I just know which ones to share and which ones to keep." So Iron Man's like, "This is not even an official mission. I can't even tell you about it." She's like, "You don't have to. You can't find Thor." Iron Man's like, "Well, how'd you know?" And Storm's like, "The cosmic dust is practically radiating off of you." Now, I don't care what anybody says about me right now. If I was Iron Man, I'd be offering to drink her bathwater right now. So Iron Man's like, "Look, if I tell you this and this gets out, I'm going to get into your browser history and publish it. And if it's not bad enough, I'm going to add maggots to it." Ooh, not the dreaded browser history. If I'm lucky enough to know exactly when I'm about to die, that's the first thing I'm doing. Erasing everything. So in Brazil, there's all these lightning storms going on, and we don't know why, and we can't stop them. And it's unfortunate that's happening right there at that time, because we have some mad scientists there that are trying to recreate the Super Soldier Serum for Captain America. Well, one of those lightning strikes hit the helicopter. The pilot got out just fine, but we don't know what happened to him after that. But we as a reader know, we see that anaconda got to him and swallowed him and the Super Soldier Serum whole. So this thing is souped up. So then we see Reed Richards, T'Challa, and Iron Man trying to fight the lightning storms and figure out how to stop it.
with little to no success. Actually, we'll just go ahead and say no success. So now they're turning to Storm to see if she can figure something out. Why in the hell would you turn Storm in the first place? Like, you guys are the smartest ones in Marvel. The first thing you thought about is, hey, this is a lightning storm. Why don't we ask Storm for help? So then we cut to the present time. It looks like Storm is freaking seeing this thing. I mean, you can see his bones, and you can see the pilot that got swallowed in his bones. I mean, this is a powerful lightning strike that's taking this big thing out. And Maggot starts to lose his mind. He's like, what are you doing? Like, we have no chance to get the pilot now because he got fricasseed with the damn snake. I mean, there ain't nothing but ashes left. Like, why would you do that? Storm's like, calm your ass down. That wasn't me. On the next page, we see who fricasseed that snake. It was Mama Rogan, who I believe is the Australian lightning god, but don't quote me on that. But he's not alone, because all of a sudden, Sango shows up, who is an African lightning god, and is battling Storm now. But he also has company too. Sasanu shows up, who is a Japanese lightning god, and he does a true thunderclap. And this is just too much for Maggot, and Storm knows it, so Storm uses her powers and gets Maggot the hell out of there. And as soon as he does that, Chuck shows up, who is a Mayan lightning god, so this is his home turf. And he comes out of nowhere, grabs Storm by her hair, and throws her into a river, talking about, you are a self-proclaimed lightning god. We are the lightning gods. So as she's picking herself up, all of a sudden, she gets a vision from Dr. Voodoo. I don't know if she's remembering this or Dr. Voodoo's talking to her right now. But he's like, look, you are descended from the first Sorcerer Supreme. How would he handle this? So she creates a lightning kraken, which handles 3 of the 4 storm gods. But unfortunately, Mama Rogan is still coming for her. And Chalk, even though he's being like suffocated by the kraken, still has a hold of her hair. So she grabs a lightning sword and cuts her hair. Chalk, me and you will have some words, boy. If you were real, whew, make my baby girl cut her hair like that. What's wrong with you? Anyway, after she cut her hair, she sends out a lightning strike that distracts Mama Rogan. And the reason why she threw Maggot is because she wanted him to go get the sanctuary. So she flies up and she was like, you know what? Everybody's starting to piss me off. Get my armor. It's time to go god hunting. And all of a sudden, all you hear is storm gods and their fury. But Thor says nay. So which side is Thor on, man? Like, what we doing here? Are you on their side or are you on Storm's side? Like, yeah, it'll never go well for you, Thor, every time you want to fight Storm. I'm just saying that now. I am serious of heart attack when I say this. I need at least 50 issues of this. 50. Not 10, not 20, not 30, not 40. 50. At least. I would like more than 50, but 50 is my cutoff. All right? It needs to go more than 50. Or it needs to at least get to 50. And I'm like, okay, that's acceptable. But more is always better. Ayodele, just keep doing what you're doing. It's fantastic. Support the comic book industry by visiting your local LCS. My name is Dorian. This is SCM Comics. We're continuing our coverage of Storm. Number 8. Our story starts off with Storm, who is announcing how she is the mistress of the elements. And she's talking to the elements that she controls, saying that ever since she was a child, they have spoken to her like a mother whispering sweet words into the ears of her weeping little one. But she's grown now, no longer a child, and these storm gods that have hurt the elements, by her power, she will make the elements whole again. And then we got the Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, where you got Tony, T'Challa, and Reed, and Tony's like, she did it. Don't worry, T'Challa. I think your anti-cloud seeding came in handy too. And T'Challa's like, we worked on that together, Tony. That was a me and you project. So Tony's like, it's really not a my project if it doesn't work. So then he's like, want to say hi to Storm? And T'Challa's like, perhaps another time. I'm in a hurry. I got a great evening plan with Emma Frost. Tony's like, touche. And then they show Reed, happily married, never divorced. You're damn right. Like, I want to be like Mr. Fantastic. Happily married, never divorced. Why? Because it's cheaper to keep her. That song was made back in 1973, and 52 years later, it still rings true. Plus, you will have a sexy storm goddess waking up next to you every day. Don't even get me started. Oh, that's right. The high priestess annulled your marriage, which you were the high priestess, so you annulled your own marriage. Don't even get me started. We're not going down that road today. And Tony, you ain't getting out of this either, because Emma Frost might be a lot of things, but not being sexy isn't one of them. Like, you messed that up, homeboy. You messed that up. All right, I'm over it. So then we cut to the Amazon rainforest, where Storm and Thor are working together. Storm is gathering up the cremated remains of the pilot that got devoured by the snake, who caught all kinds of lightning from one of them storm gods and just fricasseed, like done bashes. So Storm was like, since Dr. Voodoo's a necromancer, he should be able to distinguish the ashes from the snake from the ashes from the pilot. And then the pilot will hopefully be able to get a proper burial by his family. But then Thor is like, that's all well and fine, but let me tell you something. These storm gods are only the beginning. And these guys ain't what you got to worry about. No. Before Zeus, there was the first storm god. And you definitely got to worry about. His name was Hadad. He was so strong that he made eternity be his cloak. He made death be his club. He made the Phoenix Force be his armor. And he made infinity be his shield. And the only one that can stop him was the one above all, themselves. They came down and was like, you know those my kids, right? Like you just can't do this to my kids. Now I gotta deal with you. Which they did. But then Thor's like, this dude's coming back. And when he comes back, he is going to be all kinds of a problem. Because he's going after the Black Winter and he's going after Galactus. That's why in the last issue we saw Galactus and he was like, Surfer, help! And Surfer was trying to power up all he could. But if this dude was taking like cosmic entities and just making them like pieces of his like armor and his sword and his cloak, then yeah, Black Winter and Galactus have no chance. Along with the Surfer, like he ain't got no shot, homie. So I guess there's some storm gods that are on the side of Hadad, and there's some storm gods that's on the side of, I don't know, I guess the rest of the universe. And it's hard to know which one is which. So Thor busts out a raven's feather and is like, all you gotta do is use this, and I'll be right here to help you. He hands her the feather, and she goes, no, Thor, I don't need that. Because if these guys show up again, they're going to need to summon somebody. Now, as much as I love Storm, Come on, girl. Like, Thor isn't Thor anymore, right? Thor has the Odin Force now. It's the Thor Force. So he's just as powerful as Odin is, who is just as powerful as Zeus is. Like, you don't turn down that kind of help. You know, like, yes, you are powerful and you have the power of attorney in you, but you can always use a little bit of help. Thor, yes. That's more than a little bit of help. That's big help right there. But then we cut 3 days later at the Storm Sanctuary, where she is doing advanced yoga and just reminding me how T'Challa messed up. But she keeps saying, never again, never again, never again. It's not about the storm guys that she eventually has to fight. It's not about eternity. No. It's about the FBI. So she arrives at the Federal Bureau of Investigation's headquarters in Washington, D.C. And she arrives in style. Why? Because Manifold brought her. Man, I ain't seen Manifold since Krakoa. And Manifold even says, as he's handing her a briefcase, like, look, Storm, if they act up, all you gotta do is say the word and we'll start a second Krakoan age on their asses. Storm's like, it's okay. Only the unprepared need to be worried. And I don't get ready. I stay ready. And if I'm Gerard Wade from My Chemical Romance, who wrote the Umbrella Academy, I'll be pissed. Look at that. Baby embryo, fish, same character. And then she tells Manifold to go back to the sanctuary and keep an eye on Maggot. So he does. And when he goes back, Maggot is being introduced by this ring announcer, and there's like a crowd full of people. And he's like, I was only gone for a minute. Storm is going to kill me. Because he's involved in a heavyweight fight with Gentle, She-Hulk, the Juggernaut, who just whooped his ass. I mean, just whipped him. He's about to fight him again. Big Bertha, strong guy, who I guess is fresh off of Dazzler's World Tour, Armor, and the Abomination. Come on, man. So most people who know about Storm know about her claustrophobia and how small places just make her uncomfortable. This place that you got her in, it's not small at all. It's huge. And it's made to do the exact opposite. It's made to make her feel small and insecure. But when you're an alpha personality, ain't no such thing as small and insecure to you. But then this tall ass alien walks in. Like, did she go to the FBI or is she visiting like the Men in Black? Like, I don't get what this is. So as he's sitting down, he's letting her know that there's a two-way mirror and Agent Lundquist is sitting down on this. If you read the main X-Men comic book, then you know who Agent Lundquist is. If you don't, playlist is in the description. So this dude's like, the planet where he's from has a lot more nitrogen in the atmosphere than Earth does. So while he's asking the questions, he'll be sucking on some nitrogen. Now, I know this is make-believe, but how would you feel about the whole immigration situation if an alien from another planet gets a job at the FBI and you can't? You can't call ICE on him. He'll just pull out his badge and like, what you gonna do? So first he asks us about the mission policy of the Storm Sanctuary. So she pulls out the paperwork and she's like, Anthony Edward Stark, Iron Man, Lunetta Lafayette, Moon Girl, and Shuri, the daughter of T'Chaka, who is also the sister of T'Challa, her dumbass ex-husband, are the ones who designed it and emits no greenhouse gas. And SHIELD certified it. And it emits a solar light that's identical to solar rays, so it never impedes anyone's access to sunlight. And if I was Storm, I'd been like, so take that, you smoking mother. So then he's like, you are famously a former thief in Cairo. Have you answered for your crimes? So then she's like, my relationship with the Egyptian criminal justice system is not the purview of the United States, you long neck son of a... So he's like, okay, I can play that game. I need reports of your activities from the last 6 weeks. She's like, the Impossible City has my reports because I'm an Avenger. I'm not talking about when you're with the Avengers. I want to know your whereabouts when you were by yourself. Like, have you been kidnapped within the last 6 weeks when you're in the United States? So she's like, no. And he's like, we feared you say that. But we also want to make sure that your memories haven't been altered telepathically. And she's like, I'm immune to telepathy. We long discovered that my friends Gambit and Jubilee are immune to telepathy because of the latent energy that's always surging through their bodies and their brains. I do the same thing, so I can be immune. So then this purple bastard goes, do I have permission to examine this hypothesis of yours? And she goes, you may. So they grab hands, and all of a sudden he goes, I'm sorry for taking up so much of your time. The telepathy simulation machine is right next door. Come with me, this only take a few minutes. And she goes, that's not real. And he goes, excuse me? She goes, look, greater beings than you have tried to evade my mind, so cut the games, punk. All of a sudden, he uses telekinesis and slams her against the wall. Then he starts laughing. He's like, you thought you can hide what you did with Professor Xavier? Not only did you aid and abet a known fugitive, but you also allowed him to get off the planet. So now she's surrounded by agents X, Y, and Z. And Skinny Grimace goes, Aurora Monroe, you are under arrest for obstruction of justice. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say will be used against you in a court of law. Murewa Ayodele has to get 50 issues. Has to. The story's too good. The story is too good. We're just going to get into it. Support the comic book industry by visiting your local comic book store. My name is Dorian. This is SCN Comics. We continue our coverage of Storm. With number 9. Our story starts off in FBI headquarters in a holding cell. Now, I give Murewa a lot of credit. But man, I gotta start giving credit to Lucas Werneck. 'Cause man, he is drawing the hell out of Storm. Good Lord have mercy. Like, she is down and out, destitute, like her hair's down. And all I was thinking to myself was,
Lord have mercy. The Lord is my shepherd. He know what I want.
Anyway, she goes, excuse me, officer. I would like that phone call now. But then we cut to law offices of Book and Walters, where the sensational She-Hulk is supposed to be answering the phone. She's not. Storm has to hang up. And the correction officer says, couldn't get a hold of your lawyer, huh?
my lawyer is my ex-wife's sister, and a lot of times she ghosts me when I need her the most. And Storm's like, Jennifer Walters is exceptionally professional. If she can't answer the phone, that's because she's doing something extremely important. And that very important thing is trying to hang on to her teeth, because she got the Jesus punched out of her. I mean, green blood went everywhere. And it looks like it's Blue Marvel is the referee, and he's counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. She got hit so hard by Strong Guy that she is turning back into Jennifer Walters, like the normal human Jennifer Walters, and he's just flexing. When all of a sudden she turns back into She-Hulk, but she's doing it like Philip Kennedy Johnson style. If you guys read The Incredible Hulk, then you know what I'm talking about, the grotesque looking style. And the narrator is also talking about power shifters while this is all going on. After she transforms, she goes, absorb this, and punches the Jesus out of him. I mean, it's a one-hitter quitter. Like, there's so much blood coming from this dude's face. He is done. Like, I love Guido, but yeah, no, he got KO'd. We also have the Juggernaut versus the Abomination. Abomination is sitting there. He's in the rear naked choke, and he's like, I swear, Kane, if I pass out in front of these people, I'm gonna kill you. So yes, the Juggernaut is the winner. I'm pretty sure he passed out. Big Bertha beat Armor. And then we have Omega Maggot versus Gentle, which I will pay for this fight, which Omega Maggot won. Now, Mr. Ayodele, like I said before, you've been doing a great job. These fights, even though we know the outcome of them, we need to see them. Like, I need to see Juggernaut versus the Abomination. Like, I need to see Gentle versus Omega Maggot. All right, I need to see like an extended fight between Strong Guy and She-Hulk. Like, these things just need to happen. Just some kind of like one-off book, you know. Just go ahead and write the fights, you know, as Blue Marvel's referee. Like, this needs to happen. It's a personal request, but yes, I need it. By the way, now I don't know if he said it in the last issue. I don't even know why these fights are going down. All I know is they're going down, and it's fantastic. So now we come back to Storm. She's with that smoking alien, and he is hooking her up to a lie detector, which is another alien that looks eerily similar to him. He goes out his way by saying that this alien has perished, not alive, and died of a fungal infection. So yes, the cordyceps are even in space. But the fungal infection has some kind of special properties to it that makes this dead alien the perfect lie detector. So Snoop Dogg takes a hit and then proceeds to start asking Storm some questions. He asks, do you believe mutants are a security risk to the United States? She goes, no. The alien says true. And he asks, do you believe that you are a threat to this country? She goes, no. The alien says true. Did you house Professor Xavier, knowing full well that he was a wanted fugitive from the government? She goes, yes. The alien says true. Did you also facilitate his escape from Grey Mountain Prison? She goes, no. The alien says true. So then he asks, knowing the outcome now, if you could go back, would you help out Professor Xavier still? She goes, yes. The alien says true. So as Adrian Lundquist is watching this, he goes to the other weird looking FBI agents and goes, it's time. So then he brings up the whole Oklahoma City thing that started this whole series from the first issue, talking about the child that was a nuclear reactor. And he's like, this child caused the death of 255 U.S. citizens and $35 million worth of property damage. Are you aware that he is wanted by the government? She goes, yes. The alien says true. So then he asks, so where you been hiding this child? And she goes, if I told you Special Agent Fabib, the words would come from my mouth, but you would not hear them. No one would. The alien goes, true. So then Snoop Dogg kind of loses it, and he's like, is that why you visited Dr. Voodoo in Haiti? And he just starts going down, and what are you holding in the sanctuary, and so on and so forth. And he ends it with, so I ask again, do you feel like you are a threat to the security of the United States? She goes, no. The alien goes, false. So then all of a sudden we cut to limbo. Yeah, I said limbo. Same place where, magic came from, or she didn't come from there. She got sent there and she spent most of her childhood there. We'll get into that later. And the United States is trying to flex their muscle in limbo. If this ain't some Donald Trump shit, I don't know what is. Gulf of America. And the crazy hair looking agent is just talking bad about how magic, it was the ruler of limbo, but she spends most of her time in America, and how Madeline Pryor does the same thing now that she's the new ruler of limbo. And then she brings up how 4,000 years ago in Asgard, how they fought a great battle against the rock trolls and defeated them. And how 2,600 years ago they went to the Crimson Cosmos and fought Sidorak. But then she's like, if you come work for the United States, then we can offer you greatness again. You can have battles that you could talk about. And the main demon is like, greatness. That's what you offer, huh? So then he's like, you make better food than ambassadors. So he's like, you're telling me all these stories, but you need to realize I'm the one who led the assault on Asgard against rock trolls. I'm the one who made Sidorak bleed because he killed my wife. He's like, I don't think you understand, little human. My 10,000-year-old eyes have seen things that your nightmares couldn't fathom. Not gonna lie, that was a cold line. So then he's like, so you come down here and your nation is only offering me greatness? So then she has to think fast, because her and her other agents are getting choked out. And she's like, no, we don't just offer you greatness, we offer you power too. Like, the only reason why Ileana and Madeline rule this dimension is because of the weapons that they carry. What if we can offer you the same thing? So then he goes, So then we cut to Atlanta, where Agent Lundquist is waiting on the agents to step out the portal from limbo. They do, and the girl is beat up. And she goes, I hope all those demons die. So then he's like, is it done? And she's like, yeah, it's done. They said that they will do the assault on the sanctuary. So the Agent Lundquist is in this bubble, and they're flying over to the sanctuary, and they're like, with all these demons that are about to assault that thing, and only Maggot is the one that's defending it, it should be over pretty quickly. And as soon as they get there, that is not the case. That is not the case. These limbo demons might have done some great things, but they ran into the wrong group. Maggot, Juggernaut, there's all kinds of people here. They put all kinds of work on these demons, and they are done. done. And then Manifold opens up a portal for She-Hulk, and she teleports right into that portal and knocks the bejesus out of him, talking about, I'm Storm's lawyer, and we need to talk. So when she hit him to another portal that went straight to FBI headquarters. So now they're with Storm and Snoop Dogg. Agent Lundquist is throwing up in that protective bubble, and She-Hulk is like, if you think this is bad, you don't want to go to court, because I'm a lot meaner in court. So then we cut back to the sanctuary, where Storm is talking to Manifold. She-Hulk and the government came to an understanding, and now Storm is released. Because the only reason why they even detained her is to try to get into her sanctuary to get whatever they were trying to get, which Storm is about to talk to Manifold about. Now, Storm understands that she is being possessed by Eternity, and she seems to be fine with this arrangement. What she's not fine with is there are hours where she'll go and she can't account for, and sometimes there's even days that she can't account for. Now, the government wanted to seize the sanctuary because they're after something that she's holding. Now, everybody thinks it's the engines, because these engines are extremely powerful. I mean, like I said, they can power a city for like 100 years. But they could be after what Eternity is brought in. And then we see it is Abraxas. Now, if you guys know the story of Abraxas, when Galactus dies, that's when Abraxas steps in, and he's even more powerful than Galactus is, and more of a problem because he wants to just destroy everything. But I was like, when did Galactus die? And then I started thinking like, oh, that's right. During Johnny Cake's run of Thor, he killed the Black Winter and he killed Galactus. But I'm like, but then Abraxas should have stepped in. But it looks like before Abraxas could step in, Attorney just snatched him up and just put him in some kind of suspended animation. Like, this is what I'm assuming. Don't quote me on this, but this is what I'm assuming. And I'm assuming Abraxas is what Attorney wants to use against Oblivion. So then we cut to sometime in the near future and we see Abraxas is behind the Eternal Storm and she's facing down the Dark Winter, which is, I guess, is Oblivion's herald. And with the combination of Eternal Storm and Abraxas, they pretty much blow the Dark Winter like right out of there, because, you know, the Eternal Storm with Abraxas definitely has no limits. But then the narrator says, Eternity, no matter how great the power he amasses, Oblivion will not know defeat by his hands. Because in the Oblivion Void, Hadad is just sitting there and it looks like he killed Oblivion. Now this might not be Oblivion, this might be one of his underlings or his creatures, but it was powerful, and this Storm guy just took him out like he was nothing. Now in the last issue they said that Hadad had like the Phoenix was like his armor and or like his sword. It was all kinds of different cosmic entities, was like he had different cosmic entities as his like armor and weapons and stuff like that. And the only person that could step in and do something was the one above all. I just want to know is, how the hell is a Storm god this powerful that he takes out cosmic entities like they're nothing? I'm not bitching about the whole storyline, not at all. I just want some explanations. That's it. Just explain to me how this normal Storm god is just pretty much going around whooping everybody's ass except the one above all. I hope you got the track shoes on when you're reading this, because this issue, it is nothing but go, go, go. There is one water break point. And then Murewa was like, I hope you enjoyed it. After that, we ain't stopping until we get to our destination. Support the comic book industry by visiting your local comic store. My name is Doran. This is SCN Comics. We are continuing our coverage of Storm, number 10. Our story starts off in Magiport, so you know it's about to go down. But we're not in the city. We're in the forest somewhere. I didn't even know Magiport even had forests. And we're 4 days from now, and we see somebody grabbing on their chest. And we see his bishop, and he's like struggling. And then he goes, I'm sorry, Storm. All of a sudden, he releases all this energy into the sky, and it's like a beacon. And then we cut to D space where we have Storm, Maggot, and Manifold. Like, must be nice not to have a spaceship. Why? Because you have Manifold. Why the hell do you need a spaceship for? Just need a suit. Anyway, the Avengers encountered a new planet called Avak. That's the best I could do. And they told it to the National Aeronautics and Space Administration. Now, they want to look at the planet, but there's only one problem. The Avengers also got into a fight with a kaiju, and they eventually killed it or destroyed it, and it kind of stopped right there, and now it's blocking the view. If you want to know what happened, just read Avengers Unlimited, number 9 through number 13, which is only on Marvel Unlimited. So they're going to use Maggot to eat the kaiju. And Manifold's like, you realize this thing is the size of a tri-state area, right? So Maggot's like, you know, this is a discussion between two Omega levels, Manifold. Like, you just wouldn't understand what's going on here. So the Manifold's like, my apologies, my Lord Omega level. I'm just a lower level mutant with the ability to teleport this whole thing into a sun and disintegrate it within 5 seconds. But do your thing. So the Maggot goes, hi, Shuri. And Manifold's like, what? So Maggot's like, Storm, you didn't say Shuri's coming along for this ride. Manifold's like, where? So then Maggot's like, you see that? All I gotta do is bring up Shuri and you break down like a math problem. So then we cut to Storm and she's like, I am Storm, mistress of the cosmic elements. And she's sending lightning into the kaiju. And Manifold's like, why are we yelling out our names and titles now? So then Storm's like, it's the Omega thing. You just want to understand. So the Manifold's like, you two? Like, man, I should have won Frenzy on her team. So So the Storm's like, and then the likelihood of you visiting Shuri will be diminished considerably. And the Manifold's like, I can just teleport to Wakanda. They love me there. And she goes, yet you're here watching Maggot eat a rotten kaiju. So then Manifold's like, it's going to be a long 3 days. So day one, I'm assuming this Manifold goes, truth or dare, Storm? She goes, truth. He's like, are you and Emperor T'Challa secretly dating again? Day two, truth or dare? Dare. I dare you to tell the truth. Day three, it's pretty much gone. So day four, we cut to the realm of the Orishas. We see Sango, who's a storm god. He's just waking up, and somebody yells out, you got 3 wives, Sango. Yet and still in the morning, you're as lonely and as desperate as a widow's bedside. And you slept with your eyes closed when I warned you not to. Is she a storm god or is she a gangster? Like, I can't tell the difference anymore. So Sango's like, the Earther, your youth is going to be your undoing. Allow me to re-educate you. So they start going at it, and Storm's like, you came to my Earth unprovoked. I didn't attack your people, yet and still you attacked me and my people. But more importantly, you made me do the unthinkable. You made me cut my hair. That is definitely a cultural thing right there. Like, if you're not of African descent, then like Beyonce said, you don't feel her pain. So Sango's like, lightning infused with solar radiation to keep me from escaping. You must not know who I am, because I don't retreat like you. So as much as this pisses off Storm, she goes, you didn't learn anything from our previous encounter. That's your mistake. Because I'm not alone, as we see this big ass fist come out of nowhere and punches the bejesus out of Sango. Who we see is Maggot. See, the reason why they went up there, it wasn't just to go ahead and take out that thing so that NASA, I guess you could say, can view the new planet. No. It was so Maggot can get a power up so he could do this. Punch the bejesus out of a storm god. Manifold's there because him and Gateway are the only 2 people that can teleport outside of the universe. And he opens up a portal that says Sango into a pocket dimension. And without a teleporter, there's no way out of there. So when he gets in there, he knows that chalk is already there. And he's like, she got you too, huh? Because Storm is using these pocket dimensions as prisons for gods. So then they get back to the sanctuary, and as soon as they get back, Storm notices the beacon that's coming out of Bishop, and she goes, oh no. So then we cut to Madripoor, where Bishop is sitting with a girl, and all of a sudden a portal opens up, and the girl's like, Storm, and she goes, Jaden. And then we cut back 7 months ago to Oklahoma City, where we see the child that was being used as a core reactor. Well, this is that child. Thought it was a boy, it's actually a girl. And Storm learned her lesson because now she got on a radiation suit. So she immediately says, I'm sorry, Storm. Like, I've been trying real hard and I've been training, but last night I had a nightmare and I lost control of my powers. And Mr. Bishop had to absorb everything and it was dangerous radiation. So he had to release it, which let everybody know exactly where we're at now. And she's like, calm down, child. Take a breath. The girl exhales and she goes, may I? And she's like, yes. She's like, I love what you're doing with the hair. And she's like, I want to kind of be more like you. The Storm's like, well, now hairstyle is yours. I'm just borrowing it. So the Storm starts messing with her hair, and all of a sudden there's blood spatter everywhere. And Maggot doesn't have a head anymore. So Storm is screaming, Japheth. And Bishop is like, Storm, you can read energy signatures from miles away. Who's attacking us? She's not hearing what he's saying because she's just still screaming, Japheth, because Maggot is dead, like dead. So the Manifold's like, it's time to go. And he starts opening up a portal. He's cut in half. So then we see somebody that has some voodoo dolls of Storm, Maggot, and Manifold. We see it's the girl that got her ass whipped in limbo. And Snoop Dogg. And Snoop Dogg's like, I am sure glad that she decided to hide her in Madripoor Because now we ain't got to worry about nobody coming to investigate this. We ain't got to worry about the X-Men. We ain't got to worry about the Avengers. This just goes down as an unsolved mystery. Now, girl, take that voodoo doll Storm and kill her. When all of a sudden the Silver Surfer comes falling out of the sky, right where they're at. And in the narration, they're like, if he's coming, somebody else is not too far behind. And Galactus comes and falls out of nowhere. I mean, huge explosion. Snoop Dogg and Blonde Girl go flying. And they're just looking like, what in the hell's going on? Out of nowhere, Infinity just opens up the sky like it's a curtain and just walks through. And she's like, I beat the brakes off both the Silver Surfer and Galactus for not telling me what I need to know. So now, Aurora Moreau, you're going to tell me where the hell my twin brother Eternity is. Jesus Christ, Murewa, you like Chicken Fire too. All gas, no brakes. This book just tells me that Murewa Ayodele is next. Once he's done writing Storm, they're going to be like, so what do you want? X-Men, Avengers, Spider-Man, pick a pick. Now, before you say, well, why would you think that? Besides this whole Storm series, as Dylan will say, being hot fire, they have given this man the ability to use characters that they don't let almost nobody use at all, whatsoever. And there's a reason for that. And this story shows why. Support the comic book industry by visiting your LCS. My name is Dorian. This is SCM Comics. We continue our coverage of Storm, number 11. Our story starts off in a neutral realm for all pantheons. Then here's somebody calling out names. Sazanu, Amadioha, probably messed that up. Sugar, Beta Ray Bell, that one was easy. Indra, Uka, Seth, Legon, Mamerigan, and the newly brought back to life Zeus. We're so far behind in Immortal Thor, he's still an accessory. He's a belt. Thor wields his power as a belt, not, like an accessory to crime, which Thor is being convicted of. Again, we're behind. Anyway, just about any storm god you could think of is under one roof right now, besides one that, Storm had to deal with. So Zeus is like, we're here to discuss the fate of one mortal, Aurora Moreau, the mutant, the self-proclaimed storm god of Earth. You better watch your mouth, Zeus. Like, she already clipped 3 or 4 of them. Like, you could be next. And right now, your win-loss record ain't the greatest. So then we cut back to Madripoor. Jalen is just in a corner distraught. Snoop Dogg and the girl that got her ass whooped in Limbo are pretty much done. Like, I don't think they're dead, but they're pretty much knocked the hell out. The other FBI agents are getting handled by Bishop because they're trying to subdue a Galactus that just got his ass whooped by Infinity. Like, Murewa, I see what you're trying to do, like, but this is no longer the FBI. This is the Men in Black. Like, these dudes got big ass huge syringes that got mosquito wings, and they're trying to inject the Galactus with whatever it is, so I guess to sedate him and bring him down. And Bishop is just being Bishop. He's taking these dudes out with the quickness. I mean, just if he ain't hemming you up, then he's just shooting you in your face. Now, I don't know if Infinity got tired when she was whooping up on the Silver Surfer and Galactus. Like, I don't understand what happened. All I know is she came in last issue talking big. And now, Storm is putting it on her. And while that's going on, Gateway is teleporting the pieces that are Manifold and Maggot and teleporting them somewhere, which I'm just thinking, like, you might as well go ahead and teleport into the morgue. Especially Maggot. Like, he has no head. You need that. Now, Storm is letting Infinity know that, hey, she ain't the one. That she is a descendant of a Sheikh. Hope I pronounced that right. She also has the blood of Agamotto in her, which is the Sorcerer Supreme. So she's not only using her mutant powers, but she also is using magic too. And that she is a goddess. I mean, like, she put it on Infinity, who, like I said before, put it on both the Silver Surfer and Galactus. no small feat. She also lets you know that it was Eternity that took over her body, not vice versa, and made her do things like almost kill Cyclops and just all kinds of other stuff. And she just had to sit there and watch, or sometimes she didn't even remember what the hell happened. So whenever you find Eternity, why don't you ask him about that? So as Storm is doing her best Goku impression and has a big ass spirit bomb that she's about to drop on Infinity, Infinity's pretty much like, look, I can't find my brother, and without him, I can barely keep myself whole. So if you're going to drop it and kill me, then kill me. So all of a sudden Galactus and Silver Surfer come out of nowhere, and Galactus is like, nothing controls you now, but yet and still you let your emotions hold sway over you far more than any abstract entity is capable of. Because she's not a cosmic entity, she's a storm god. And before you say, oh, gods shouldn't have emotions either, have you seen Zeus and Thor? Anyway, he brings Jalen up there, and she's like, look, there's been enough death today, Storm. And speaking of Zeus, we go back to the Pantheon, and he yells, enough. We need to make a decision. All in favor to take sides with the Storm Mutant of Earth? Nobody raises their hands except for Beta Ray Bill. All in favor to take sides with Haddock? And almost everybody else raises their hand, and Beta Ray Bill's like, madness! You've been spending too many centuries in exile drinking mead and wine because you guys are insane. He calls out a lot of guys, but in a nutshell, he pretty much says, you guys rather side with the destruction of the universe than try to save it. So Barbarian is just pissed because Eternity picks Storm to be his champion instead of one of them, which makes no sense because she's immortal. So then Susanu's talking about exerting pressure and heat, but in a nutshell, he's like, why don't we just have Haddock just destroy the universe, and from the ashes, we'll just build another one that's better than this one. All of a sudden, we see Beta Ray Bill hammer. It goes, levitate, fly, catch. And he goes, why don't I exert some pressure and heat to your face? All of a sudden, Beta Ray Bill's expression just changes out of nowhere, because the Black Winter is here, and I guess it's already starting to affect the gods. Susanu's arms are just like crumbling because I guess he's infected. So to save him, American just cuts off his arms. So then the narration says, Haddock is no Widowmaker. He is no Orphan Maker. He steps into the universe, everybody dies. So then we cut to the 9-day hospital for the extra mundane in Arkansas, and we see Galactus and Silver Surfer just sitting outside of it. Like, that looks crazy. And we see a toe tag on Maggot because you know he dead. Like, he is dead. And we see surgeons working on Manifold, so I guess he got a shot, which I don't know how much of a shot, but I guess he got a shot. And we see Gateway watching everything. So Storm is up there with Gateway, and she's explaining how she fully admits that she's been neglecting her magic side. She should have been training more with Dr. Voodoo, with Wanda, with magic, and then something simple like Voodoo Dolls wouldn't have went down, and then Manifold and Maggot wouldn't be in the situation that they are right now. And if you want even more insight into this great series, then you should check out Black Comic Lords, because they actually have Murewa on as a regular guest, and he goes over all this stuff. So then Gateway's like, the present shapes the future as much as the past shapes the present. Then he puts his hands on Storm's head and goes, shape a better future, Aurora Moreau. Shape a better universe. And we cut to the House of Ideas, where we see Eternity, and he's visiting the One Above All. And he's pretty much like, look, I was going to take on Oblivion, but you know I am like over when it comes to me and Oblivion going at it. So I knew I wasn't going to win. But then I find out that there's this storm god named Haddock, and he killed Oblivion. And if he killed Oblivion, then I can't handle this. So
Help me! Help me! Help me!
please. So then we cut to the white hot room where Krakoa is sitting in, and it's being attacked by the Black Winter, and the Phoenix has to show up and handle some business. Like, does Stephanie Phillips know about this? The Black Winter is also attacking the land of couldn't be, shouldn't be, and Wanda has to do her thing to try to keep it at bay. So I guess Infinity
whose avatar is Quasar. Did not know that. She is going to handle the Black Winter, but she's like, hey, Galactus and Silver Surfer, and you know how I beat your guys' asses? Well, I need you guys to help me with this Black Winter thing. And let Storm know that she needs to deal with Haddock by herself. And that's why Murewa is going to be the next big writer in Marvel. Because they just let that man use damn near everybody of importance in the Marvel Universe. So before we get started, at the time of this recording, which is Thursday, September 25th, 2025, Black Comic Lords is going to do a live stream called Stormwatch, where Ayodele shows up for about 2 to 3 hours and talks about the Storm book. So instead of wondering what he was thinking when he wrote this, you can get it straight from the horse's mouth. So definitely tap in, because I will be tapping in. In saying that, from start to finish, this comic is a masterpiece. Support the comic industry by visiting your LCS. My name is Doran. This is SEO Comics. We're continuing our coverage of Storm, number 12. Our story starts off, looks like in a swamp because there's a frog sitting on a lily pad. Then his mouth opens, and a hand comes through, then an arm. Then we see it is Dr. Voodoo, the Hongan Supreme, and he is facing down the Butcher, Gore, the God Butcher. Which, I know you're like, when she's just in the Phoenix, didn't she just take care of him? She did. But if you look really carefully at him, it's not alive. It's also not alone because the Sentry's with him, and he looks dead as hell. And Gore pretty much tells Jericho Drum that even though he wants to help out Storm with Hadad, Death wants to have a word with him. We go to the Impossible City where we see Tony Stark left a message for Storm, which she probably won't get for a while. But there is crazy world about to end lightning going around all around the world, from Atlanta to the Storm Sanctuary to the factory in Alaska where the X-Men are playing a softball game or a baseball game. It's probably a softball game. And even in Louisiana where our Uncanny X-Men are having a cookout. Everybody looks worried except one person, Rogue. She's still getting herself something to eat. She don't even look up at lightning because she goes, Storm got this. But then we cut to Earth's orbit 30 minutes ago where we see Storm confronting Hadad, who is standing on top of the Black Winter. And he goes, Host of Eternity, I am not a violent god. 30 minutes later, he is hitting Storm so hard that he broke her jaw. How do you know? Because as he's throwing a punch, it says Jawbreaker. We cut back 30 minutes ago and he says these hands have worked so many wonders. They perform miracles. And today, you will die by him. And then we cut back to present time where he is just abusing her. Punches her so hard that she goes flying away. So what I want to know is, what does he consider violent? So then he's like, my desires are many. Watching you die like an animal, not knowing why you're being put down, is not one of them. As Storm is just coughing up blood. So he grabs his spear and he goes, the entities love to hear themselves speak. Seems like so do you, because all you're doing is talking. He throws the spear. Storm tries to put up an ice wall to block it. It goes right through the wall and then right through her shoulder. So obviously Storm is screaming in pain. Hadad cracks his neck and goes, are you crying? Where's this dude from? Like, having a spear in your shoulder? What's that supposed to do, tickle? So then he explains how he used to be Eternity's avatar too. How she has no idea about the power she's wielding right now. How he took that power and not only did he dominate it, but he beat up on the living tribunal and waged war against the one above all. And that the only reason why anybody is going to remember this battle is because of how weak she is. So now we cut to the House of Ideas, where Eternity is meeting with the one above all. Now, I didn't read Fantastic Four 511 when Fantastic Four actually
talk to the one above all, which I think he was appearing as Jack Kirby. I didn't read the Infinity finale where Adam Warlock and Thanos talked to the one above all. I believe that's when Thanos had a harder universe. Could be wrong. Let me know in the comments if I am. And I didn't read Defenders number 5 where Adam Brashear, Blue Marvel, talked to one above all. So this is a first for me. Now, if you watch Phoenix number 15, you can kind of tell I'm kind of over these cosmic entities. And I was about to put the one above all in the same category because it sounds like he was talking out both sides of his mouth. But then I realized I need to quit thinking of him as a cosmic entity or, the one true God. Because he's not talking like that. He's talking like something else, which makes sense. So he starts off by saying that he wishes that he created his children to require substance, just like the humans, so that he can offer eternity something more than just his undivided attention. So then he lets eternity know that he was always a superior creator. So then eternity, finally eating some humble pie, is like, yeah, well, I'm so good at creating that I created Hadad, and right now he's pretty much threatening all of existence, including myself. And one above all goes, all great creators fear the power of their creations. That kind of feels right out of Frankenstein. I could be wrong, but that's what I took from it. So then the one above all is like, you make beings that surpass you in strength and wisdom. Some of your creations even found a way here, which those are the 3 instances I just told you about. So then one above all is like, all right, let's cut to the chase. Why are you here? So then eternity kneels. How do you know? Because it said he kneels. And he pretty much says that he needs the one above all to stop Hadad because he cannot. So then the one above all starts to mock eternity, like, I have come to bargain for the fate of the universe, Father. Ain't that what you said to me when you came up here and interrupted my work? Which, what work is he doing? Like, I want to know what the hell the one above all's work is. Please let me know, Murewa. What the hell does the one above all do all day? Besides talk to his kids. Even though this kid, he deserves it. So then the one above all is like, what do you even have to bargain with? Like, what possession do you have that I will want? That's like me saying, hey, I want to bargain with you, Bill Gates. And Bill Gates looking like, I got everything. So then he's like, you caused the slaughter of Oblivion, my first son. What makes you think you deserve a speck of my compassion? And then attorney's like, I'm your son too. Sounds just like a poem. So the one above all pretty much tells him that he is everything that is good in this universe, but he is also everything that is bad. So whatever eternity is standing in is starting to rise. It looks like water, but who knows what it is. And he's starting to get scared. So instead of taking responsibility like he's supposed to, instead, he does what all weak people do. Starts blaming others. And he's like, this is all Oblivion's fault. I had his twin sister Death and he wanted her back. So then one above all is like, so you trying to tell me that you have your twin sister Infinity and you can talk to her whenever you want to, but as soon as Oblivion wants to talk to his twin sister, oh, that's a problem now, right? And because Oblivion whoops your ass every time, and I mean every time, you went ahead and you disobeyed me and you brung Abraxas into the equation to try to get rid of Oblivion, which caused him to bring in Hadad, and then Hadad is uncontrollable and took him out. But this ain't your fault, right? I don't even have time to grieve for Oblivion. Like, do you want me to just bring in my desires, my fury? He's talking about the one below all. That's right. Shout out to Al Hume. I guess that is another instance where one above all actually showed up in Immortal Hulk number 50. So then the one above all is like, order and chaos understand each other's roles, and they find balance. You two, you just want to end each other. And Hadad is about to make that happen. So then we cut back to Earth, where the Black Winter is pretty much talking all kinds of mess to Storm, as he's like, you have been defeated by the first storm god, Hadad. I am the Black Winter. I am going to devour your universe. Know me, know your ender. All of a sudden, all this lightning comes crashing down around the Black Winter Hadad, Hadad turns around and goes, as Guardian. And we see his Beta Ray Bill, and he is on some kind of serpent dragon, and he's like, behold, I have come, the serpent storm god. And the serpent shoots a beam at Hadad. Hadad ate that, jumps up in the air, and does an immortal axe kick and knocks the bejesus out of Beta Ray Bill. And then he does a roundhouse kick to Beta Ray Bill's face that sends him flying. I mean, if he was in America, he'd be in the next county. Unfortunately, there's a mountain that pretty much stopped Beta Ray Bill from going any further. And then he creates a blast that freezes both Beta Ray Bill and the serpent that he was riding on. So the storm comes and tries to ambush Hadad, but Hadad sees her, grabs her by the throat, and just holds her in the air, which I still want to know how her jaw got fixed. And then they're using their storm powers as they send lightning through their eyes, and at first it seems to be evenly matched, even though this fight has not been evenly matched. So then we go back to the House of Ideas, and Attorney looks like he's leaving, and then one of them all is like, hold on for a second. Being a creator is hard. I should know. The fear and hate that you have for Hadad is immeasurable. You sense his approach and see a reflection of everything you despise about yourself. If only you had an equal amount of respect and trust for the creation who bleeds to preserve your life despite your cruelty. You could never beat Oblivion. But yet something that you made did the impossible. A word of advice from a creator. Love your creations as I love you. Even though he is the one above all, the way he's written here, he's just a parent. Like, he's a parent. Like, he loves his creations. He gets pissed off and disappointed in them, but he's still down for them. So then out of nowhere, Eternity shows back up as Storm. She becomes the Eternal Storm again, and she hits Hadad with an immortal head smash and sends him flying. Infinity senses that her brother's back, so now she's alright again, because before she was all messed up. That's why Storm beat the hell out of her. So Storm's like, alright, we're going to do this again. We're going to do this my way. This is my body. Alright? You can enhance me, but you can't control me. So whatever I do is what I do, not what you do. And Eternity's like, agreed. So the Eternity's like, look, I can get my sister, the Never Queen, and the Phoenix Force to come help us. And Storm's like, there's no need to get them involved. I'm about to end this battle right now. Storm jumps on him, and when I mean she beat his ass, she beat his ass. I mean, his face is done. Missing teeth and everything. So then Hadad starts talking mess about the cosmic entities, and he's like, our lives are but parchments, comical books in their endless libraries. Our suffering and our tribulations are mere amusement for them to marvel at. I see what you're doing there, Murewa. That was pretty good. So then Eternity, being Eternity, just can't be trusted. It's just one of them all told you to do something, and he just can't listen. He takes over Storm. He takes some lightning and he stabs the bejesus out of Hadad until he is dead against Storm's wishes, because Storm did not want to kill Hadad. So right after that, Eternity just leaves and Storm just goes, never again. Never will I trust the universe. Because me personally, Eternity. Like, between the Phoenix book and this book, like, Eternity is just an asshole. He has become my least favorite character. But then we cut to a royal palace, the realm of Mistress Death, where she has Dr. Voodoo all chained up, and she's pretty much telling him that he is about to become her avatar of death because her brother Oblivion is dead, and she needs to get some revenge. And she's going to use the Marvel zombies to do it. Like, damn, Murewa, you didn't even give us a second to breathe before you got the next thing that's about to pop off. And as much as I am excited about Age of Revelation, I hope it ends quickly so we can get right back to whatever Mistress Death is about to bring upon the Marvel Universe. But speaking of the Age of Revelation, Murewa is bringing us Rogue Storm, where Storm goes crazy and is pretty much threatening to create an ice age upon the world. And the only way to stop her is for Rogue to create an X-Force team to take Storm out. Kill Storm. Like, I know this is A's revelation, but that might be the best book in the whole series. We'll find out.
So what happens when the Storm God goes crazy? You get this. Support this comic book series by visiting your LCS. My name is Dorian. This is SCN Comics. We are continuing our coverage of Age of Revelation with Rogue Storm. Number 1. Our story starts off in orbit, where we see Earth 5 years into the Age of Revelation. And we see Thor's hammer, Mjolnir, broken, just floating in space. And it says, our world was once home to the greatest god that has ever lived. Since Thor's from Asgard, that eliminates him. Plus, you didn't click on Rogue Thor. You know what, let's just keep it moving. We see the Sahara Desert in Egypt is frozen over, looking like Antarctica. We see Atlanta in the United States, and that place is a parking lot. Destroyed. And we see the Amazon rainforest is on fire. So then we cut back to the frozen Sahara Desert, where we have, I know this is Marvel, but tell me that ain't the Fortress of Solitude. Tell me that's not Superman's Fortress of Solitude. And it's guarded by 4 big ass robots. There's actually a 5th robot that's not as big, but just as scary. But we see a bunch of military, US, maybe other foreign countries, just frozen in ice. Equipment and all. And we see Storm chained up with her powers going crazy. And it says our god went mad. Now, she didn't chain herself up, so I don't understand how the hell she's in control of the situation if she's chained. Guess we'll find out later on. Not in this book, but, I guess later on in the series. So then we cut to see Rogue, and she's with Gateway. And I thought she was standing on a tank. Really, she's standing on a creature that I have never seen before. And the creature is sentient and it's screaming war. And Rogue says, Storm isn't our friend anymore. Well, she says, ain't our friend anymore. And what's in there is a dragon that needs slain. So then Gateway opens up some portals and we see Rogue has some help. They are riding on these same creatures. They're all screaming war. We have Warpath, so that's fitting. We have Iceman, who's riding by himself. We have Phantom X. Man, I haven't seen him in a while. Actually, no, we did see him. He helped out the main roster X-Men because he's a part of the Hellions. And we got a 4-armed chick named Akujin, who I believe is new for the story. I tore her up looking to see if I could find anything on her to see if she was in anything else. Didn't find anything, so I'm assuming she's a new character. So she goes, I was worried you had changed your mind, my dear Rogue Red. We'll find out why she's calling her Rogue Red here in a minute. Then she goes, I was trembling at the thought of me putting my blade through your friend's head right in front of you. See, right there, if I'm Rogue, I'd have had to whoop her ass right there, just based on principle. Because you're pretty much telling me, no matter how I feel, you're going to do what you want to do anyway. Yeah, I had to get her. Plain simple. You don't even go here. You gonna sit here and talk all that mess to me? I don't think so. So then Phantom X is like, I just don't want to have to put a gun in Gateway's head to get the hell out of here if things go south, because that's exactly what the hell I'll do. And Warpath is like, if you abandon us on the battlefield, I'll hunt you down myself. And Iceman's like, can we concentrate on the problem at hand? We need to figure out how to take down them Storm engines. Yes, if you're a fan of Storm, a fan of this series, then you know that her floating city that she has are powered by Storm engines, and all those robots, those are the Storm engines. So these big ass beasts that they're riding on, one of them goes, our world was molded by warfare. In the womb of our mother, we slaughter our siblings until only one emerges. I would say that's impressive, but Professor X did that to Cassandra Nova. So then he finishes with, at birth, we are already battle hardened. We live for war. We desire to die from it. So point us in the direction of your foe and let us do our thing.
So the smallest storm engine shows up, and she's like, I am the joint consciousness of the operating system of the storm engines. The mother is working and will not be disturbed. Teleport out of here immediately, or you will be decimated. So the Phantom X starts busting shots at it and goes, we're the uncanny X-Force, and we don't decimate easy. And she goes, time's up. One of the big ass engines just falls out of nowhere. I mean, it just comes crashing down, and to their credit, these beasts don't bat an eyelash. They start blasting their cannons that's on their back and starts taking this dude down, or at least trying to. So then the engine grabs one of the creatures by his arm and just rips it off. And another creature blasts one of his cannons right in the engine's face. I mean, his head looks like it just exploded. And Rogue goes, one down, 3 more to go. So then the engines keep saying the mother's working and will not be disturbed. Teleport out of here now or be decimated. So it shoots an arrow at our uncanny X-Men. I mean, the size of the arrow must be massive. And then Gateway uses his power and he sends it through a portal. Rogue's like, where'd you send it? And Gateway's like, I didn't send it anywhere. I absorbed it. And he says, I will use it. But before he could, the consciousness comes out of nowhere with her sword, stabs Gateway in the back and through his chest, and then crashes him down into the ice. So Gateway is done. So this enrages Iceman, and he just yells, Gateway, you killed Gateway! And he turns into this big old ice monster. Or maybe you can call him a frost giant now. But this doesn't stop the Silver engine, because she grabs another one of these creatures and just opens up his mouth way too far and takes him right out. So Rogue was actually riding on this creature. She jumps off. She lands on the ice. Next thing you know, she's tossing Warpath up in the air. And he's like, your mother gave me these vibranium knives. I just want to give them back. And he stabs the engine right in her back. And all she does is punch him right off of her. But the Iceman comes with this huge fist and smashes the hell out of her. So then Akujin, the forearm girl's like, Rogue, we got to get out of here. And Rogue's like, I can still fight. And Akujin's like, no, we need to leave now. Like, you're not her. You're not the green one. You don't have her power. So then the engine with the bow and arrow keeps saying, the mother's working and will not be disturbed. Leave now. Notice he didn't say teleport because he knows Gateway is dead. He says, leave now or you will be decimated. And he shoots Bobby right in the head, and Bobby's head is gone. He's a Mega Level mutant. He should be fine. And then we find out why there's 2 rogues. For some reason, she went to go mess with the Collector. The Collector hit her with a beam of some sorts and split 2 of her personalities. One's Green Rogue, one's Red Rogue. Green Rogue seems to have all the powers, and Red Rogue does not. But that still doesn't mean that Red Rogue doesn't love Gambit, but Gambit loves Green Rogue. Now we can say because of her powers. So then who took her in? Of course, Storm took her in. Let her into her house, gave her a place to crash, gave her a place to mourn and cry, and then gave her a place to train and gave her some crazy weapons made by Moon Girl. She took adamantium, vibranium, and mysterium and rolled it into these crazy knuckles. And then Storm trained her because she can't rely on her powers. So she's going to rely on her 2 fists. But these knuckles does give her a slight power up. But then we go back to the battlefield where Rogue Red busts out these knucks and starts putting it on the Silver engine. I mean, beating her down. Like, she even breaks her sword with her knucks, and then she punches the engine so hard that her head flies clean off of her body. Done. Done. So this Rogue might be depowered, but she ain't weak. She ain't weak at all. And since she was a consciousness, the other engines just fall. But then we cut to Nigeria, which is Murewa's stomping grounds. And we're X years later in the Age of Revelation. Storm is riding on a hippo and she's riding into this village. All of a sudden the hippo goes into this water or river. It goes down into an underwater cave.
When the hippo comes up, it bites a fishman in half. Storm jumps off the hippo and then starts taking the rest of these fishmen out with no problem. Now, I don't know why Storm went mad. I guess we'll find out before the series is over. But man, she could give the angel of death, which is Wolverine, a run for his money when it comes to murdering people, because she is doing it damn near with a smile on her face. Now, I was probably supposed to cover Unbreakable X-Men and Iron Frost before this, but you know what? It's my channel. I do what I want. When Murewa comes out with something, I'll cover that first. Now, there is a character that Murewa introduced during his run that I said, grand opening, grand closing. And I was wrong. I was very wrong. They show back up in this issue. And there is a plot twist that I did not see coming. I mean, not see coming. Support this comic book series by visiting your LCS. Please. My name is Doran. This is SEO Comics. We're continuing our coverage of Age of Revelation with Rogue Storm number 2. Our story starts off with Storm, and she's holding a Nux that she gifted Rogue Red that are made of antimonium, vibranium, and mysterium. She puts it in some kind of ball, either compressed air or ice or a combination of two, I don't know. But she winds up swallowing it, and then she goes to proceed to eat some fish that she caught. And we see that she is in the wilderness. She is roughing it. Like, she's got a campfire and everything. And then somebody goes, hello, Aurora. And she goes, 5 years, Egan. Yes, Egan. The powerful spirit that Dr. Voodoo made a deal with to get rid of Storm's radiation poisoning. Now, the deal was for Storm not to use her powers for 7 days. And she didn't. For like 6.5 until Dr. Doom forced her to use her powers, and then Egan came out of nowhere and killed her on the spot. But at the same time, Attorney's punk ass showed up, made a deal with, didn't really make a deal with Storm, took over Storm, and then dealt with this dude with quickness. And I mean with the quickness. And I'm thinking, at the time, grand opening, grand closing, we'll never hear from this dude ever again. And I thought it was Eternity that kind of rolled him into a ball and swallowed him, but seeing that Storm just did the same thing with the Nux, maybe this was her. Anyway, so Storm's like, for 5 years, I scorched the earth searching for you, and for 5 years, you evaded me. And now you choose this moment to come. Why? And Egan goes, famed last words for every livestock that's ever seen the farmer's knife coming. Why? This dude was like that. Like, I'm not gonna lie. When he was fighting Dr. Doom and they were going at it, he was like, hold on, it's been a long time since I've had a Sorcerer Supreme for dinner. So calm down, little Doom. I don't want you to overheat yourself. That makes the meat tough. Like, Egan's like that. So then Storm's like, what do you think your last words are going to be once I bury my axe into you? And Egan's like, this is not the time nor the place for us to exchange last words. So calm down, I got a few moves left I still need to do. She takes that axe and slices Egan in half with the quickness. And he just starts laughing. And he's like, someone's coming, Aurora. Someone's coming to get you. And then all of a sudden, this monstrous being comes out of nowhere. She turns around and she's like, you're not real. She gets stabbed in her stomach just like she got stabbed by Egan so long ago. Well, let's say like 8 issues ago. And he's like, if I'm not real, then why don't you? And all of a sudden somebody goes, wake up. Someone's coming, Aurora. Someone's coming to get you. Wake up. So now we see we are 10 years from now in the Age of Revelation in Nigeria, which is Murewa's stomping grounds. And we see that is Dr. Voodoo's brother Daniel, and he goes, I knew it. I knew I should have asked for somebody else for help, but my brother's last wishes was for me to work with you. You probably think the Crimson Bands of Sidorak is a heavy metal band, don't you?
So he's like, you're gonna die, Storm, and they're gonna sell me to some bearded wizard's torture dungeon. So then Storm was like, you're gonna alert our enemy to our location, Daniel. I would advise that you keep your opinions about me to yourself, or I will personally take you to that dungeon that you dread. I'll tell you what, this Storm right here plays no games. None whatsoever. So all of a sudden we see Gambit riding on a motorcycle, and I don't know how he's doing this because he's blind as hell. Storm hears him coming. She doesn't even look in the direction. She just hears in that direction, and she shoots 3 arrows in that direction. And then Gambit, with his blind ass, hears or feels the arrows coming, and he throws 3 cards at those arrows to pretty much neutralize the whole situation. So the Gambit stops and he goes, Storm? And she's like, Gambit? They kind of just look at each other. And then Gambit starts talking in the third person, which I'm trying to think, did he all, no. I read enough X-Men. I never heard him talking in third person like this. Not like this. And he's like, the Storm Gambit knew didn't shoot without checking first. So she exhales and she goes, I'm sorry, brother, but the Storm that you knew hasn't seen betrayal that I've seen. So the Gambit pulls out his blindfold and he goes, I haven't been seeing much these days. So Gambit's like, look, I'm here because I heard a rumor, and I want to make sure it's not true. And since you're like family, I want to hear from the horse's mouth. So Storm, what did you do to Rogue Red? So then we cut to 5 years ago in the Sahara Desert that might as well be Antarctica because of Storm. And we see Rogue Red and she goes, load him up. And one of those big old huge warmonging beasts that has a cannon on its back just fires, and it hits the Fortress of Solitude because Storm knows Superman, I guess. But it blows it up. When I mean up. But as the smoke clears, we see Storm is still in her bubble, and she is just fine. So the Iceman is like, you really didn't think that was going to be enough to kill Storm, did you, Red? So the Warpath's like, what's the plan? Phantom X goes, takes his flask and starts drinking. They're all moving down towards this big old crater that was created by that blast to get the Storm. Phantom X takes his flask again and is like, for the homies, and he pours it over his head, and then he pours it on the dome that Storm created, and the whiskey freezes instantly. And Phantom X like, Warpath, I need your vibranium knife. So Warpath throws a knife, Phantom X catches it, and he goes, this dome is made of ice cold enough to freeze whiskey into slush by just touching it. But the air pressure within the dome is channeling in such a way that, and both Phantom X and Iceman say, enhances the durability of the ice dome. So the Phantom X like, but let's see if it's more durable than the vibranium. He's about to stab it when all of a sudden the Rogue Red goes, stop. And she turns to Bobby and she goes, can you melt this ice? And Bobby pretty much in a nutshell says that, yeah, he could, but it's 2 of the strongest bodybuilders in the world going at it, and they're using their weakest muscles to go at it with. Him and Storm will go at it for months, and they ain't got months. So the Rogue's like, okay, so pretty much just saying this is, I gotta break the ice. So the Phantom Knight goes, okay, shoot yourself. But busting up your hands doesn't get you out of paying me. And then Rogue goes, can a snail run his own shell? And the mess goes, okay. So Rogue winds up and she goes, I love you, Aurora. And right before she's about to punch it, Storm just breaks out the ice and goes, leave or die, as she grabs Rogue by the throat. At the exact same time, Akujin, the new girl with 6 arms, or 4 arms, cuts Phantom X's head clean off. I mean, clean off. Storm is still choking Rogue. We see Phantom X's body just gushing blood. All of a sudden, we see Akujin waste no time and starts cutting up Warpath. Storm is still choking Rogue. Phantom X's body is still oozing blood. It hasn't hit the ground yet. Next thing you know, Akujin is butchering Iceman, which I thought was kind of impossible. So Akujin is stabbing the hell out of Warpath, like all in his back. Rogue is seeing All this while she's being choked out by Storm. She's seeing the death of her uncanny X-Force, and then she taps into a power that she hasn't used, or it was thought that she might not have, and she starts to steal Storm's power from her. And at that moment, a Kujin comes and stabs Rogue right in her back through her stomach. And at that moment, we see Egan start to make his way out of Storm's mouth, because she has no power to keep him down anymore. So it looks like a Kujin was working for Egan. And then we look around, we see Phantom Menace is dead. I mean, he's dead. Warpath is dead again, like the man can't stay alive. Bobby might be dead, but they got some kind of like magical incantation around him, so he might not be dead, and they're just making sure that he can't do nothing. And Egan, fresh out of Storm's body, is ready to kill Rogue Red to send a message to Storm. So then we cut back to Nigeria, where Storm and Gambit are facing each other, and Storm's like, look, I'm not even gonna try to pull any punches because you're my friend. You chose Rogue Green, and I'm not here to judge you. Look, the heart wants what the heart wants, but don't come acting like all of a sudden now you have feelings for Rogue Red. Like, don't give me that. So Gambit's like, look, I'm not going to sit here and just take this tongue lashing, all right? I couldn't just be sitting there with Rogue Green and having feelings for another woman. So the Storm's like, hold on, time out. What changed? Why are you here now? And before Gambit could explain what happened in Unbreakable X-Men #1, links in the playlist description, don't know what happened, but an arrow comes out of nowhere, and we hear Egan goes, Aurora, the Fishman told me that you were desperately searching for me. I'm sorry it took me so long to get back with you, sweet child. But I've been hard at work making sure that none of the world's mystics would be interrupting our little soiree. And we see him eating Dr. Voodoo, Dr. Doom, Scarlet Witch, Stephen and Clea Strange, Advocate Harkness, Damian Hailstrom, like all of them, done in Egan's stomach. Murewa, you have a body count that is astronomical. Like, man, you might be the next Magneto, because Magneto, when I read the death of Magneto, like I knew Magneto had a body count, but I didn't know it was like that. Murewa, you starting to catch up. You got a body count. So we see that Egan has an army full of fishermen, and he is charging in. And he goes, now it's time to go at it. And Storm ain't bad in the eyelash. She jumped from a cliff. She has something in her hand. She uses her lightning, and it looks like magic, and she creates this magic bird. And then Egan's like, now it's time for last words, as Storm goes flying towards him. God, this book is good. God, this book is so good. So besides Amazing X-Men, this might be another book that will actually finish up once we get the finale of Age of Revelation. Like, the ending of this caught me by surprise, because I'm thinking, all right, about to get the finale of this. Not so much. Support this comic book series by visiting your LCS. My name is Dorian, this is SEO Comics. We are continuing our coverage of Age of Revelation, but we are concluding our coverage somewhat with Rogue Storm with number 3. Our story starts off with a little bit of a history lesson. Marie was always good for one of these. He breaks down Storm's lineage. First, it was Osher. Yeah, hope I pronounced that right. Hopefully I think that's Ice Cube's son's name, but I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. You guys can beat me up in the comments later. Of course, you're going to have one dude that's going to like break it down phonetically, and then he's just going to feel like I'm a dumbass and so on and so forth and look down upon me. You just got to remember, you watching my video, homie. Remember that. Anyway, she was the Bright Lady of the Dawn and the founder of the Visanti. And a fun fact that most of you probably already know, but I'm going to say it anyway. The Visanti is who Doctor Strange borrows the majority of his magical powers from. So, this lady started it, and she is a descendant of Storm. And from there, we get Aisha. And yeah, I'm going to say it's Aisha. It's probably pronounced another way, but hey,
I know a girl in high school named Aisha who spelled her name the exact same way. Aisha had a big old, you know what, let me stop right there. And she was the first human sorcerer supreme. So you're kind of seeing where Storm should be more in depth in magic, because her descendants, that's all they do. Now it also says here that Aisha had a fit of rage and unchained the great cataclysm that drowned Atlantis. So if you're wondering why Namor breathes water, Aisha's the one who did it. Then from Aisha, you got a sheikh. Now, a sheikh refined the magical system known as the Shadow Path. And also, too, in Al Ewing's Resurrection of Magneto, when Storm went to go retrieve Magneto from death, a sheikh actually met her after Storm had to clap the cheeks of Tar the Uncaring. Because Tar was going to be good and damn if he was going to let Storm resurrect Magneto, the original person who clapped his cheeks, and send him to the afterlife. But now we come to Storm, who has tapped in to her magical abilities, as she summons the powers of the God King Inferno. Her hair's on fire, and she is breathing fire. And she is using it to lay waste to these fishmen. Lay waste to these fishmen. If you ever ask yourself, does Storm ever kill? If you a fishman, she will take you out with the quickness. Because ones that she does not burn, she takes that axe and she brutally murders them. Brutally murders them. Jesus, Murewa, you know how to take some people out. And as she stands there in a burning field of fishmen, holding her axe with one hand and a half cutting off fishman in the other, she is Aurora Monroe. She is the gallows and the executioner. And it wouldn't be an Age of Revelation book if I didn't say this. This is 10 years from now, the Age of Revelation. So then we come back to the frozen Sahara Desert, 5 years within the Age of Revelation. We see Gateway, who is flat like the pancake. We see Iceman, who is broken in pieces, magical spell put on him, and he is dead. Phantomex, head is gone. Warpath, stabbed to death brutally. Storm is out of commission, and Rogue Red is about to be brutally murdered by our boy, Egon. And I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up the forearm lady, Akujin, who pretty much started this whole thing. But then we see Dr. Voodoo and his brother, who is a spirit, come out of nowhere. Dr. Voodoo kicks the bejesus out of Egon right in his face. And if you think back, this is pretty much his fault, because he's the one that healed Storm and used Egon's power to do so, to get rid of all the radiation in Storm. So yeah, he's the reason why that Egon's here, and so yeah, he needs to step up and do something about it. But if you remember what happened in the last issue, this ain't gonna work out for a boy. Because Jericho's brother is trying to revive Storm, Dr. Voodoo is doing his thing, and Egon, Akujin, is about to jump into the fight, but then Egon's like, I don't need your help, Akujin. Grabs Dr. Voodoo by the leg and slams him hard into the ground. Hard. And then he just takes Dr. Voodoo by the hair and starts dragging him, like, fight's over. It is done. Like, this dude Egon is definitely all that he's wrapped up to be. Like, he talks like he takes out Sorcerer Supremes, and you can see he takes out Sorcerer Supremes. But then with one last ditch effort, Dr. Voodoo banishes Egon and Akujin to his mindscape. So here, he can't use his magical powers for at least about 3 minutes. Because, Dr. Voodoo was dying. So then Egon's like, okay, not a problem. He said we had about 3 minutes. He takes that huge nail of his and sticks it right in Dr. Voodoo's chest, right in his heart. So, like I said, our boy is out of here. And then Storm wakes up. She sees Rogue Red, who is bleeding out because she got stabbed through the stomach by Akujin. And she's apologizing to Storm because it's Akujin who pretty much set all this up and said how Storm was a threat to the world and how they needed to stop her, otherwise she would destroy the world. And Rogue just went with it, and then she used her powers to take away Storm's powers, and Storm's like, even though you have my powers, as badly injured as you are, you couldn't even use them to save yourself right now. And Storm is not even mad at her. Actually, she apologizes to her best friend. And Rogue, as she's this close to death, says all the things that she wished she still could do, like see her mom, Mystique, and Destiny, moms I guess, one more time, see her brother Nightcrawler one more time, have her husband's gumbo, even though he puts too much Cajun seasoning in it, hang out with Storm, just have a little more time to live. But she does not, as she turns blue, and then she disappears as Storm cries. And this is why Storm has the Nux back. So now we cut to Kenya, and we see that Storm is with Dr. Voodoo's brother, who's in spirit form, and she says how Egon escaped their imprisonment that was originally put on him by Eternity. Well, she says the universe, but she don't want to say Eternity's name because she is done with that motherfucker. Anyway, Egon went after her sanctuary that's in Atlanta, and they battled for 10 days straight. Now, there was a brief moment where she was able to get the drop on Egon, and then she, I guess, encapsulated him again and ingested him again. But this time, there was no attorney to, I guess, help out with it, and swallowing that kind of evil was kind of making her go crazy. So what she did was she imprisoned herself in her own sanctuary that was built by her storm engines, and they were there to stand guard just in case she goes evil. They were ordered to take her out, but dealing with Egon inside her were messing with her powers, and that's why she pretty much turned the Sahara Desert into the Antarctic, which messed with the world's climate system. So it took moisture from the rainforest, and then the rainforest was ablaze, which a lot of our trees are there. Now we're messing with the way that we breathe. So obviously the world's governments weren't taking too kindly to this, so they sent in troops to kill Storm. But once Egon was free again, he went around the world and took out all the different magic users and sorcerer supremes so that Storm would have no help in the incoming battle. And because there were no magic users, that being Revelation's job a hell of a lot easier to take over. But Storm used this time to really tap into her magical side, which brings us all the way back to Nigeria, where we have Storm, and she's still ablaze, and she uses her magical powers to break the barrier that I guess Egon created, and a lot of his other forces come crashing down along with him. And then Storm uses the same magical spell that Dr. Voodoo used to trap Egon in her mindscape, except for she's not close to death. So she's pretty much telling Egon, you can't use magical powers here. This is the mano a mano, and I'm ready to kill your ass. So she takes 2 arrows and shoots it into this fishman's eyes and goes, that's for Gateway. She gets a drop on a Kujin, and she also keeps slaughtering these fishmen by taking this weapon. It almost looked like a kunai with chains, but we'll say a kunai on a rope, and just cuts these fishermen's heads off. Murewa, we gotta have a talk. I don't know if it was you or is it your artist, but you like to cut off heads. That's all I'm saying. Like, heads come off in your books. Speaking of which, Storm kicks that kunai and says, for the uncanny X-Force, it lands right in Akuja's mouth, and then she yanks hard, and then she goes for Rogue Red as Akuja's head comes right off. That was also for Phantom X because you didn't have to do them like that. So I guess those war beasts have no allegiance to anybody. They'll just go to whoever wants to wage war, because now we see one and he's shooting a missile right at Storm.
She uses that kunai and she cuts that missile in half. It explodes, but it's cool because she hides behind her shield. It falls into the water, and the war beast is just walking over, and he's just talking big. He's like, what does a thunder god know of the delicate artistry of war? He picks up that shield. All of a sudden, there's a blow tube sticking out the water, and there's a whew, and he got hit with a blow dart, a poison blow dart. He just falls right into the water, and Storm comes out, and she goes, "That's for my storm engines." So then we cut to hours later in Nigeria, and Gambit is picking himself up. All of a sudden, he hears somebody say, "Hey, stranger," and it's Rogue Red. And he's like, "How?" And she's like, Storm brought me back." So then Gambit's like, "Okay, well, come on, let's go help her out." And then Rogue Red's like, "We can't, because she's gone." And Gambit's like, "What do you mean she's gone?" And Rogue is like, "She used a spell to bring me back, but in that spell, she also took herself out, so she's gone." So obviously these two have to hash out their differences, because the last time they saw each other, it wasn't the best of terms, and they kind of come to a happy agreement, as Gambit explains his situation, Rogue Red explains hers, and then Gambit explains how it was Rogue Green that sent him to go find her, because Rogue Green misses her greatly. Because if you guys remember in Unbreakable X-Men, Rogue Green did come back. But then we cut back to the battle in the Mindscape, where we see Egon has killed the creature that was helping out Storm, and now he's on his way to do battle with Storm, and Storm is ready for the fight. And I'm thinking, oh, it's about to go down. No. This is where it ends. But it says clearly, right at the bottom, that this will be resolved in the Age of Revelation finale. Now, I don't know if I'm reading that wrong, because it does say in, or if they're going to actually have Murewa help write the finale of Age of Revelation. Who knows? I'm hoping so, that happens. Hopefully they didn't cut this man off and we don't have another ending to where we see Egon and Storm about to do battle and we just got to determine who's going to win and who's going to lose. Like, I hope that ain't going down, but I don't put nothing past the X office. Murewa Ayodele is a great writer. It's also sneaky as hell. Like, something that you are reading and you think is like a one-off. Next thing you know, is one of the main focus of the next arc. Like, fool me once, Murewa. Fool me once. If you wonder what I'm talking about, we're about to get into it right now. Support this comic book series by visiting your LCS. My name is Dorian. This is SCF Comics. We are starting our coverage of Storm. Number 1. Our story starts off with a recap of what happened in the last arc. Like when she went toe to toe with Haddad, who is the baddest god this side of Marvel. Like, man, things that dude did. Like when she was in South America and she went up against the other thunder gods. Like when a radioactive explosion went off in the city and the only person to show up to help was the Earth's mightiest mutant. And one of the most hated organizations this side of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, Orchis, one of their members was there and she still saved them. But now we cut to the present time where we see a storm god walking and he has a sword in his mouth. Why? Because just like Eddie Murphy had no legs and trading places, this dude has no arms. He lost his arms because he was siding with Haddad. Well, come to find out, Haddad really didn't have a side. He wanted to destroy everything, including him. And when he touched the Dark Winter took his arms. But he still has a mouth, and he still has his power. And he sinks his thunder sword into a lake, and we see he's controlling a whole planet, and is on a collision course with Earth. Now, I guess this planet's cousins with Ego. I know Ego had, like, family. And if it's a sentient planet, then why isn't, like, fighting back? Ask so many questions. Anyway, like I said, collision course with Earth. Well, all of a sudden, Storm rides on the planet, and she goes, "Sazanu." And he's like, "Aurora."
I've seen you brought a great weapon. And Storm goes, I bring no weapons. He's like, I am a god. You're going to need a great weapon to slay me. And she goes, I am a great weapon. He goes, forgive me. I underestimated you and your abilities once already during the Thunder Wars, and I choose not to do that again. Besides, I have given disgrace to my pantheon. My eldest sister has given me a route to redemption. And Storm's like, ritual suicide? And he goes, yes, you will be my second. You will cut off my head as I slice over my belly. As I'm reading this, I'm like, well, what arms? Now, I know your stance on taking a life, but I also know you will if it's going to protect your people. So I made sure that this planet was on collision course with your planet to make sure that you knew the only way to save your people was to kill me. And she's like, I know what you're doing, but right now, I want to do one thing, and that's make you some tea. So now we cut to Little Rock, Arkansas, where we have a couple that's about to get it on. They got some kind of science fiction thing playing in the background. All of a sudden, the TV starts to glitch. And she's like, oh no, the TV's glitching. Like, we need the background noise. And he's like, why do you need background noise? She's like, well, you know, I want your noisy neighbors to hear, and plus the walls are thin here. And he's like, are you serious? And he just pushes her off and then goes and grabs his phone. And he's like, I'm going to the bathroom. And she goes, bae, like, anytime you take your phone in there, you're in there for hours. And he's like, I don't want to hear it. I'll be back. Now, the way this dude talking, he's like 2 steps away from being a woman beater-upper. Like, this dude is like, now she's worried about noisy neighbors and being loud. Like, how about all the other times I was beating it up? Like, dude's tripping. Anyway, he grabs some soap, he grabs some toilet paper, he turns on the water, and he's like, shh, I'm by myself. I'm by myself. What I'm gonna do. I'm gonna beat my meat. I'm gonna get it. Where my cell phone at? But as soon as he tries to go to incognito, his phone starts glitching. Murewa, why you giving away the trade secrets, man? Like, come on now. Got the incognito up and everything. Because the government might know you going to Pornhub, but your girl can't know. That's off limits. So now it starts glitching like really bad. And now he's getting extremely pissed. Like, if he leaves this bathroom, she might end up with a black eye. Like, it's getting that bad. And it says, charging not available. So this dude's gonna blow in his charging port. Like, dude, man, it's not an original Nintendo, man. Like, that don't work. Like, what you doing? So he looks at his phone, it's still glitching. And now it's telling him that there might be some liquid that's still in there. Now, if you know you ain't got your cell phone wet at all, now, not even remotely close, this should have been a warning to you. So he starts blowing into again. Next thing you know, some black goo starts coming out the cell phone, starts going directly into his mouth. All of a sudden, this dude's eyes start bulging. I'm not even going to say what it looks like, but I see what you're trying to do, Murewa. Next thing you know, this dude's head explodes. Looks like that Lexington Steel a little bit too much for him. But he ain't by himself, because the chick outside the living room, she ain't got no head either. And the cell phone is saying, help, help, help. I'm stuck in here. What? And on the next page, our newest minted Sorcerer Supreme, Wanda Maximoff, the Scarlet Witch, is on the scene. And she's looking at the cell phone and she goes, you. What did you do? Like, it's a person. So now we cut to Storm and she's riding on Sugar. I think I pronounced that right. I mean, it looks like sugar, but you know, they're not called this dragon sweet. Got something for you. Anyway, in this scene, she has on white. Now we cut back to the scene where she was with Sazanu giving him tea. And he gets up and he's like, poison. And she goes, it's tea. And then just put some sedatives in there, you know, enough to put down like 10 Olympians. Oh yeah, by the way, Beta Ray Bill gave it to me. So now Sazanu is ready to throw down. But she is not by herself because Gateway's there. And he brings in the Avengers. But then we cut to Biarritz, France, where it seems to be under attack. And then we cut to a woman. She's with 2 of her kids and she's telling them to stay down here in the cellar because it's going to be safe here. And her daughter, which is the youngest of the 2, doesn't want her to leave. But she's like, I have to, because I have to protect the city. Besides, I'm not going to be by myself. I contacted the Storm Sanctuary, and one of the greatest heroes in the world is on her way. And speaking of which, her and the dragon are in the sea.
And all of a sudden they come out of the sea and they surprise attack whoever the hell is attacking this French city. And the dragon's like, wow, Earther, you were right. Coming from under the sea was a lot better plan than coming from above. And Storm just starts taking these things out along with the dragon. Now, whatever these things are, when she cuts through them, they have lava for blood. So obviously they're nowhere near any kind of human. And then we see the lady who calls Storm, and she's putting on her superhero outfit. And I'm like,
Lord have mercy. The Lord is my shepherd. He know what I want.
so all of a sudden there's like a bump. She gets startled and she tells her kids to hide. She's waiting for something to come out, and it's like, I'm sorry, kids. It gets them just a little nervous because I get to meet Storm for the first time. And then a big, huge hand comes crashing through the wall and grabs her. The little girl yells, Mommy. Her big brother has to grab her and tell her to be quiet. We see a monster just dragging this woman out, and I'm like, man, grand opening, grand closing. Well, all of a sudden, we see her superpower, and she's like Banshee, or if it was a DC universe, she'll be like Black Canary. She has a sonic scream, and she takes this thing out. So it seems like Storm and her Storm Dragon are handling business. Like anything that pops out, they attack and they pretty much take out with ease. But then we see the woman who led the attack, and it's one of Susanu's generals. So she's like, I work for the person who you imprisoned. Now, at first I'm like, that's a lot of Storm guys you put in these alternate dimensions, so you might have to be a little more specific, but obviously it's Susanu. And she tells her if she really wanted to do this properly, you wouldn't have seen her coming, but she wanted to give her a warning that if she don't release Susanu, that this is just the tip of the iceberg. And oh, by the way, she's using illusion magic. When she disappears, we see that the town has been destroyed and the people have been murdered. Like, this is old school, like Viking raiding. Like, nobody's left alive. Nobody. They just pillaged and plundered and just destroyed and killed everything and everybody. So then we cut to Storm, and she's taking a shower.
Lord have mercy. The Lord is my shepherd. He know what I want.
And she's running over in her mind the conversation that she had with Susanu when she was making him some tea. And then she cuts to when she finally saw what happened to the town, and she sees what happened to the superhero that really wanted to meet her. As she is dying, she goes, Storm, I was so nervous to meet you. And then she dies on the spot. Like, dying words were, I was so nervous to meet you, Storm. And then she meets her kids, which you know this is going to be bad. The little girl's just crying her eyeballs out. She ain't trying to say nothing. And the little boy, he's crying too. But he's like, I told my little sister that our mother was the strongest in the world and that she will be okay. But deep down, I knew that she wasn't coming back. So Storm told them that she's so sorry. And the little boy goes, no, you're not sorry. You're just telling us the lie that we want to hear, just like I told my little sister the lie that she wanted to hear. Seems like even the great Storm lies. And she just goes, I failed. I have no honor. And if you notice, her thought bubbles are in black. And she just starts screaming. And all this electricity, she's in the water too, all this electricity starts going like everywhere. But there's also black electricity too on top of that. So I guess Storm finally calmed down. She's asleep. But then we see somebody outside of a window. We see is Wanda, and she goes, Storm, what wrath have you brought upon us all? So I guess whatever that dude deep-throated from his phone, somehow Storm has something to do with it. And the next issue, it looks like we get the Men in Black back. So let's hope we get Snoop Doggy Dogg. So two things. For one, Murewa Ayodele, this dude's knowledge about the Marvel Universe is vast. I mean, vast. There are so many callbacks in this issue alone. It's not funny. And if you notice like the pacing of this book, there's a reason why it's moving pretty quick. We'll talk about that here at the end. Support this comic book series by visiting your LCS. My name is Doran. This is SEO Comics. We're continuing our coverage of Storm with number 2. So now, before we get into the story, Murewa was nice enough to give us a recap of what's going on in the Storm saga. In Storm issue 11, we see Galactus down and out. Now that was because Infinity clapped his cheeks. And when Galactus was incapacitated, the FBI used this opportunity to go ahead and extract some blood from Galactus. In issue 12, because of what happened to Oblivion, Mistress Death is now ready to wage war to everybody, or the war above all. In issue number 1 of this series, Storm was pretty much putting all these storm gods in these alternate dimensions. Well, one of them, Sazanu, has a ride or die that plays no games. His warlord, Akujin, set it up to where she was going to wage war against Storm. Storm was about to body, but unfortunately Akujin is really strong when it comes to magic, and she put down the illusion spell and had Storm thinking that she was fighting the battle and that she was winning. Once Akujin took off the spell, Storm saw that Akujin already laid waste to this friend city. So, yeah. And Storm has been going through a lot. So much that it's now starting to get to her. And now she had the equivalent of an Omega level nervous breakdown. And now that a recap is done, our story starts off in the planet of Mod, the homeworld of the Mandos. Now, if you've never heard of them, don't worry, because I never heard of them either. And then when I looked it up, come to find out, it was one showing for them that I know of. And that's all the way back in the 1970s in the Adam Warlock series written by Jim Starlin. So yeah, deep cut. And the whole planet is being decimated by one zombie. Obviously, Mistress Death sent a zombie. And once we find out who this is, it's crazy. And then we cut to the Crimson Cosmos, where Akujin is just marching her forces along. And then we cut to Storm. And the way the first issue ended, I thought that Wanda and Storm were like thrown down. Which, if you're going to throw down magically with Wanda, the Sorcerer Supreme, and even before she was Sorcerer Supreme, like, you don't throw down magically with Wanda. But come to find out that Wanda is actually there to try to help train Storm. But right now, Wanda is using a spell to kind of box Storm in because Storm is claustrophobic. And Storm is trying her best to try to deal with it. Like, she's counting down from like 99 as she goes 99, 98, 97, and just trying to stay calm, but it's hard for her. So then Wanda releases a spell and she's like, that wasn't even a powerful spell and you had issues. Like, you're not ready for a sorcerer or a sorceress like Akujin. Like, Wanda's like, you're powerful, Storm, but for what you're about to deal with, that power doesn't matter. So the Wanda's like, look, magic is unpredictable. Here, let me explain. Doctor Strange, the Sorcerer Supreme, got rushed to the emergency room because he got shot with a mere handgun. That was not a mere handgun. That was Hitler's handgun, which was magically imbued for some reason. And yeah, it went right through his force field and almost killed him. But then she also explains how Doctor Strange took out the Sun God and helped take down the Great Society. Now, this is a Sun God that just got finished clapping Hulk's cheeks. And then Doctor Strange took him out. And that happened during the incursions. That was New Avengers during the incursions. Anyway, Wanda is saying all this to tell Storm that magic is unpredictable. So then Storm's like, all right, you see me summon raging winds and create typhoons. And Wanda's like, that's true, but there's an order to what you do. Magic, sometimes there's no order to it. Okay, like your powers. You vibrate molecules to exude heat, condense the steam in the air to create rain, swirl winds around yourself to fly, and your raging winds are a result of your rapid alteration of the temperature and the planet's electromagnetism. Again, there's an order to your powers, where in magic, I couldn't tell you where the hell these spells come from or how they break down. All I know is that they work.
So then Wanda just tries to be straight with Storm, and it's like, Akujin told you that she will bring this war to you in 5 days. Kindly take her up on her offer and give her back Susanoo. She's like, you don't want this war. Like, this is something different. And Storm's like, this isn't my first war. And then Wanda's like, this is your first magical war. And then she tells her about the War of the Seven Spears, which raged for 3,000 years. And not 3,000 years in the past. No, this was 3,000 years in the past, in the present, and in the future that Doctor Strange had to fight. And then Wanda grabs Storm by the hand and is like, look, you're the most straightforward person I know. But all your favorite sorcerers, they're all tricksters. But not being deterred, we see Storm getting ready.
Oh my God, Jesus! Lord have mercy. The Lord is my shepherd. He know what I want.
The artwork's fantastic in this. So she pretty much tells Wanda that no, she's not letting Susanoo go. We also find out that Manifold did survive, but he's in physical therapy. And Maggot, yeah, he did not. You typically don't when your head gets cut off. And Wanda's like, I don't think you understand. Like, not letting Susanoo go is going to cost a lot of people their lives. And Storm wants to not try to push Wanda away because she knows she's going to need her help in this fight. But right now, her pride is standing in the way. So that the next day, we see Storm addressing the world, letting them know exactly what's going on. She explains what happened in Biarritz. She also explains that until they're able to rebuild, she's offering her sanctuary to be their home. She's pretty much telling America that she's going to be leaving. But she's leaving her storm engines in specific cities to help protect them. But then we see the FBI got their hands on Galactica, which is the daughter of Galactus. So asking how they did that. And now it makes sense why the FBI took Galactus' blood to get her. So now we cut to Akujin, and we find out that she has two other sisters. Their names are Iwin and Bogey. Right now, they're in the Crimson Cosmos, which is the realm of Sidorak. They paid their toll to go there, which they're complaining, I guess Sidorak used to charge a lot less than what his kids charge, but, you know, that's a story for another day. Right now, they're trying to discuss the best way to get their army to Earth. Now, they have a chart that kind of breaks down how the universe works. Like, you have the House of Ideas, which is the home of the one above all. Then below that, you have the Upper Realms. The Upper Realms consist of the White Hot Room, home to the Phoenix, the Land of What If, that's ruled by the Never Queen, the Beyond, home to the Beyonders, and the Dimension of Manifestation. It's where a little tribunal stays. Then after that, you have the Oblivion Void. Then there's Space-Time, pretty much Eternity's realm, the universe itself. And then you have the realm of Mistress Death. Now again, they're trying to make it to Earth, and they're trying to determine the best way to get there. Now, you got the Underworld, which is ruled by Hades and Persephone. You have Dimension Blood, which has no ruler. You have the Crimson Cosmos, where they're at right now, which is ran by the kids of Sidorak. There's Limbo, which is ran by the Goblin Queen, Madeline Pryor. And then you got Helm Spitty, hope I pronounced that right, which is where the Skyfathers stay. Now, they're in the Crimson Cosmos, but I guess they're still not close enough to get to Earth. So they're going to have to take one of these other realms, and it's just like that. It's going to be a fight. None of these rulers are just going to let them come through the realms and then go to Earth. That's not happening. Now, one of them suggests that they should go through the Dimension Blood realm because right now there's no ruler there. So, I mean, I'm wrong. Like, there's races there that they might have to deal with, but at least there's not one particular ruler that can unleash their armies upon them. But I guess the preferred way would be to go through the Underworld. But then Akujin's like, yeah, Hades and Persephone's, yeah, they're dicks. But Akujin's like, you know what, we can just take them out. But then Island's like, yeah, okay, you take out Hades and Persephone, and now we'll have issues with the Olympic gods. Like, do we want those problems right now? Because That's a war that's going to last a long time, and one side is going to be completely wiped out. So the island's like, well, if we go to the blood dimension, I can just teleport all of our forces to Earth. And Akuja's like, it's too far away. Like, you won't be able to do it. So then she's like, well, then let me just do like platoon by platoon. And then Akuja's like, okay, you do it platoon by platoon. And once you get one platoon there, by the time you get another one there, the Earthers have already taken out that platoon. So that's not a good plan either. So then Bogey's like, you know what? Why don't I go talk to Hera of Olympus? And then Akuja's like, you know the Olympians don't like our kind. And I was like, women? And Akuja's like, no, immortals that aren't gods. So the Bogey's like, but what if I could talk some sense into Hera? And I was like, what do you got to offer? Because that's all she's going to go for. So the Bogey's like, all right, well, that brings me to our next discussion. We really didn't decide on what city that we're going to attack next. Is it going to be the city of New York, where all the superheroes are at? Or should we attack a city like Wakanda? So then Akuja's like, you want to promise Hera all the vibranium in Wakanda? And then Bogey's like, Wakanda has many, many secrets besides their precious metals. So then Akuja's like, we can't do this. Like, Bogey, you're going to get yourself killed. And then Bogey's like, sisters, nothing is going to stop us from getting our master back. And then we cut to the Storm Sanctuary, which is in France right now. And this is 3 days before Akuja's invasion of Earth. Storm is helping serve food to people when all of a sudden she is interrupted and told that something's going on. All of a sudden Storm walks off. I don't know how that hairnet held all that hair in place, but I guess it did. She takes it off and she flies wherever she needs to go. And then we see a tale as old as time. Mutants and humans fighting each other. It's a little different this time because this time it seems like the mutant started to fight with the human. Hardly ever goes that way. This mutant's pissed because he feels like the Storm Sanctuary shouldn't be for humans, it should just be for mutants. Armor's trying her best to break up the fight, but it's not really working. But she does distract the mutant enough for the human to pick up a sledgehammer, which he's about to come down on this mutant, and then all of a sudden he's frozen by Storm. And after she froze him, then she feeds him, and he's happy. So then the mutant that attacked the boy is with Storm and is helping her, I guess, clean up the sanctuary. And he's trying to explain like his side. And he's like, look, we all know that mosquitoes are blood-sucking parasites that spread disease. And all we try to do is prevent them from coming into our homes and harming ourselves or our children. We don't sit there and say, well, some mosquitoes might prefer to drink tomato juice instead of drinking blood. So they're not that bad. Like, if we don't do that to mosquitoes, why should we do that to humans? So Storm's like, all right, mutants. We assimilate human society. We dine on their cuisines. We share their language. We live where they live. And every time we try to separate ourselves, how's that generally work out? Genosha, Limbo, Utopia, Krakoa. Fail, 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 fail. We have to learn to coexist with each other, just like we do with the mosquitoes. But then we see a mutant that doesn't have a head anymore. That's going to be an issue. But then we cut to the near future, the war above all, where Mistress Death has laid waste to all of the storm engines. And actually, it wasn't Mistress Death who laid waste to the storm engines. It was the zombie who laid waste to the earth at the beginning of the story. We find out that this isn't just any normal zombie. No. This is Stephen Strange. Now, I know some of you guys saying, oh, how about he's not a zombie, he's alive. Like, you know, Doctor Strange of Asgard. True. But he's died enough times that Mistress Death has control of the wrath of Stephen Strange. And Storm, being undeterred, is like, dead man walking. There are fates worse than death. I will subject you to all 7 of them, I wonder what all 7 of them are. If you don't leave my homeworld now. So now real quick, this book seems to be moving pretty quick, right? Like she's dealing with Fukusion, and then she's also dealing with Mistress Death and the War Above All, and it just seems like it's going pretty fast. There's a reason. Because this is only a 5-part miniseries. No, this is not an ongoing. This should be an ongoing. This is not an ongoing. Now, I ain't trying to mess up Murewa's money. Maybe he got offered something else to write, and it's a lot more high profile than Storm. I selfishly just wish that he can keep writing Storm and this will be an ongoing. But the powers that be are saying that no, this will not. This will end at issue 5. If you took all the X-Men teams and they had to deal with the things that are happening in this series, it might be too much for them. Let alone just one mutant, even if she is at Earth's Mightiest. Support this comic book series by visiting your LCS. My name is Dorian, this is SEO Comics. We continue our coverage of Storm. Number 3. Our story starts off in Elysium. Now this is after the Thunder War, but before the events that happened in France. And Storm is talking to Maggot. Now you're like, oh, Maggot's back. He's not. Because Elysium is afterlife. I had to look it up. This is where the Greeks would send like their heroes. Almost like Valhalla. And speaking of Valhalla, we're going to get to that in a minute. But Maggot is letting her know that since this is a Greek afterlife, Hades and Persephone pretty much run this place. But they actually conceded and relinquished the rule of the underworld to their daughter, Murewa. Hope I pronounced that right. But her grandfather, Cronus, got word of this and was pissed because he felt like his granddaughter wasn't worthy, or he didn't deem her worthy of ruling the underworld. So there was a rebellion. There was a fight. And said results is Cronus lost. Again. Like, I didn't know he was still alive. I mean, I guess he said, yeah, okay, he's like a god, like big time god, because he's the father of Zeus and Hades and Neptune and all them and so on and so forth. But I thought they dispatched him a long time ago. But I guess we came back and yeah, he got taken out again. King of Titans, dead as hell. So yeah, Maggot's like, all right, Storm, why are you here? Like, I'm in paradise. And Storm's like, I've been searching for you for a long time, and I've been to a lot of different places. Valhalla, Helmheim, Duat, Aru, Yomi, Zababa, Jalia, and many more afterlives. So Megan's like, how'd you go to all those afterlife realms? And she goes, me and my new acquaintance, Shuga, seems to have a pretty good knowledge of all of them. As she introduces her dragon. So then Maggot asks her, does she find Dr. Voodoo? And she goes, no, so he must be still alive somewhere. Yes and no. Like, we know what Dr. Voodoo's going to be right now. Now, me personally, once this is all said and done, I don't think it's going to be alive. Shame, because we already lost Maggot. Don't want to lose Dr. Voodoo, but Murewa is a killer. So she also brings up how going through all these afterlives, she's seen her parents. Well, her father. Her mother seems to be avoiding her. So Maggot's like, yeah, it's okay. Let's give her some red babies. Which, I'm pretty sure that's going to be coming up soon. Storm's daughter. We're going to see her soon. Anyway, Storm brings up this family heirloom that her mama left her all the way back in like the real early issues of the first run. And she's like, yeah, that was the only thing she left me, and I just gave it away. Now, it was for a good reason, but I did give it away, so she might be mad at me about that still. So now we cut to the present time. 2 days before Kujin's invasion of Earth. Like, we got a Kujin's invasion of Earth, we got Mistress Death. Like, how you gonna fit this all in 2 more issues? I don't know. Storm sees the dead decapitated mutant that happened in her Storm Sanctuary, and she remembers what Susanoo said to her, that you will soon burn with the pain that fills my heart. So then she starts to get pissed, and she's just thinking like humans, mutants, cohabitating, separation. Like, nothing works. So then she's just thinking to herself, and she's like, this innocent mutant was either killed by an intolerant human or a mutant hoping to frame a human for this murder. They keep playing these games, these sick games, and the only one who pays are the innocent. And it just seems like Storm is getting to the point where she don't know what to do. Like, she's either going to give up or just starts raging, and then this is her villain arc. And all of a sudden, an astronaut just walks behind her and goes, "So, it's just that easy, huh? You're just going to give up?" And they snap their fingers. Then we cut to Orn, which is like the Olympus to African gods. And all you see is dead elephants, dead people, or should we say dead gods. And then we hear somebody say, "I can't hold my liquor in my burst guts, yet I've never felt more alive." We see 3 claws, so we're assuming this is Wolverine. And when we turn to the next page, we see it is Wolverine. Dead Wolverine. Because these are the dead X-Men, which we covered dead X-Men during the Fall Krakoa. It wasn't great at all. So now, why does Scott hold his head? Why is he decapitated? Like, can someone explain that to me? You know what? He's wearing a certain suit, so it probably came from like some other dimension, and in that dimension he lost his head, something like that. And so another thing about it, how did the Ultimate Universe, the original Ultimate Universe Cyclops die? Did he get his head cut off? No, I remember now. Quicksilver shot him. That's right. So no, this is not the Ultimate Universe Cyclops, at least I don't think. And then Mistress Death shows up wearing her avatar, which is Dr. Voodoo. And Wolverine's like, "I like what we're doing here, don't get me wrong, I like Killer, but what's going to happen when Aurora finds out that we just killed all these African gods? Like, how you think she's going to take that? She ain't going to take it too kindly, and she's probably going to do something to you really bad." But Mistress Death doesn't seem to be phased. She just takes the soul out of this African god, and the next thing you know, he's a zombie. I ain't think gods even had souls. You know what, before we get too down the woods, comics. But again, even though this Wolverine works for Mistress Death, obviously, because he's a zombie, he's like, "Look, I'm trying to tell you, sooner or later, in life or in death, you got to face the consequences of your actions. And Aurora will make sure of it." So now we cut to beyond the confines of our multiverse, wherever the hell that means. And Storm's like, "What is the meaning of this? Like, where is this place? And who are you?" And the astronaut's like, "I'm sorry, I brought you here without asking first. Trust me, it's for your own good." And she just starts running. All of a sudden, this bird comes out of nowhere, and it looks like the Phoenix. And Storm's like, "Hey, it's Jean. I've missed you, my sister." And Ashley's like, "That's not Phoenix. That's the Raptor." What the hell is the Raptor? Like, can somebody fill me in on what the hell the Raptor is? Anyway, the astronaut's like, "It turns powerful beings into building blocks for the wall." What wall? Like, are we talking about the Source Wall? Like, this ain't DC. This is Marvel. Anyway, Storm is able to avoid this bird. The astronaut just jumps off of this waterfall. Storm's like, "Hey, can you fly?" Astronaut goes, "What?" She's like, "Can you fly?" Astronaut's like, "What?" Storm's like, "Can you?" And then the astronaut's like, "I'm just messing with you. I can hear you." And no, I can't fly. So Storm tries to grab her before she hits the water, and the astronaut's like, "Oh, don't touch me." And she's like, "I'm trying to save your life." And the astronaut's like, "You're gonna rip my suit." So they fall into the water, and the Raptor is like hovering above the water, and it's like rot and primal ooze you stains. That wasn't very nice. Anyway, Storm grabs the astronaut and carries them back up to the surface. She drags the astronaut onto land, and then there's this fish who's on land, who is not dead, but should be dead because it's not in the water. But Storm and this fish is having a whole conversation with each other. So then Storm is taking off the helmet of this astronaut, and she's like, "Please be alive," because, you know, she didn't want them to drown. And then she sees that it's her mother. So we got back to Orn, and some of the African gods ain't going out without a fight. Like, this dude with this hammer, takes out Archangel, or no, this is Dead Angel. Rogue is cut in half, so is Nightcrawler. so there ain't gonna be no Banff. Now they smell like farts. Who am I kidding? These are zombies. That dude probably smells worse than farts. But then Dead Magneto takes out the horse that he was riding on. So now he has to just fly on his own, or I guess he's falling on his own. Dead Cyclops tries to shoot him with an optic blast in midair. He avoids it and then comes and he kicks the hell out of Dead Cyclops' body, and his head is still spinning, still shooting, and now taking out other zombies. Like, this African guy is about it. Because, I mean, taking out Gambit, taking out Wolverine, cuts off Magneto's head. I mean, it's crazy. Wolverine tries to go at him again. He hits him with his hammer. Like, it's nuts. And then all this black lightning comes down and we see it's Mistress Death. He tries to reach for another weapon and he gets hit with some more lightning. And then, make matters worse, Mistress Death calls upon some heavy hitters. Dead No, Dead Haddad, and Dead Gore the God Butcher. Like I said, heavy hitters. Which they need to be, because they're about to fight Orloron the Supreme. He's like the All-Father here. So, like Odin or Zeus, just final boss. Yeah, so you need some heavy hitters. So then we come back to Storm and her mom wakes up and they get to talking. Well, come to find out, this is not her mom. She's from a different universe. So, of course, Storm's like, all right, why'd you bring me here? And then her mother, who's not her mother, goes, your universe is dying, Aurora. And then Storm's like, if I had a nickel for every time somebody's told me that. So Storm's like, look, I'm tired of being manipulated by higher beings who think they know better. Like, whatever's happening, it's not my concern. And then her mother, who's not her mother, is like, look, ever since you and Eternity became a thing, and now since Oblivion's gone, his realm is just kind of like growing out of control because of Mistress Death. But it's not just this universe. This is going to sprinkle into the whole multiverse. So then Storm's just starting to break down, and she's like, I can't do this. Like, all I'm hearing is all this bad news is about to happen to me and my universe, and I'm hearing it from my dead mother's voice. So then Aurora's like, all right, well, in saying all that, then I should be there trying to help everybody, or at least take care of their needs before the end happens. And her mom, that's not her mom, goes, I'm sorry, but no. So then she's like, there's nothing that's going to stop the war that's killing our multiverse. As we see the African All-Father taking on the ultimate Frightful Four. And she's like, there's no stopping the betrayal that's coming your way. As we see the Sorcerer Supreme, Wanda, sitting next to the dead body of the mutant that's in Storm Sanctuary. Don't tell me Wanda did this. Like, don't. This. No. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Like, I want to trust Wanda again. I ain't trusted for a long time. I don't want to go back down that road. Don't do this to me. We also see Akujin has made her way to the underworld with her sisters, and they're pretty much taking out all the things that are down there in Tartarus. And we have her mom, that is not her mom, is telling her that the only way she's going to be able to survive this is that she gives up everything that she holds dear to her. Yeah, okay, we're talking about Storm. That ain't happening. So Rob beat me to the punch, and he made Storm number 4. I didn't watch this video, but I did read the title. And I'm like, Marvel now has an omniverse. So I'm thinking to myself at work, didn't Marvel already have one? And then I started thinking, what is the difference between a multiverse and an omniverse? Because I didn't know. And for those of you guys who said, oh, how can you be a comic book YouTuber and not know the difference between a multiverse and an omniverse? You see that fat dick on your shoulder? Yeah, you go ahead and eat that. So I looked it up, and this definition came straight out of Google, but they took it from somebody and read it. A multiverse is a collection of multiple, often infinite universes, while a omniverse encompasses all multiverses, dimensions, and realities, including possible fiction and non-fiction. And then they give a really good example. Think of a universe as a single book, a multiverse as a library, and an omniverse has every single library and book in existence. So I'm not gonna lie, reading that definition kind of explains what happens a little later on in this book. And I was like, oh, that's what he meant. Support this comic book series by visiting your LCS. My name is Dorian. This is SCM Comics. We continue our coverage of Storm. With number 4. Our story starts off in New York City, where we have the parents of Aurora Moreau, and she was just born 6 months ago. Her mom and dad are folding clothes, packing up, getting ready to go, and leave the United States and go to Cairo. And Storm's mom is feeling guilty because she's taking him away from his home, which is right there in New York, which I didn't know Storm's dad was American. But he's like, look, you left your home country of Kenya to come here to start a family with me. I can see in your eyes how much you miss Africa. So, let's go back. But Storm's mom feels really guilty from taking him away from his family and his friends and his familiar surroundings. So he's like, look, I got to defend my title of the best husband in the world. See, look at my trophy, as he points to a coffee mug. So she still feels bad about it, and he just reassures her like, look, I know there's some crazy stuff that can happen in Africa, but this place is a cesspool, and I'm not giving up the fight here. I'm just making sure that my family is in the best situation, and I can always think of new ways of helping out our people in the future. Plus, if I know my little girl, she's gonna find her way back here. So now we cut to the wall. Now I'm not gonna lie, I said this in the last issue. All of a sudden, this bird comes out of nowhere and it looks like the Phoenix, and Storm's like, hey, it's Jean. I've missed you, my sister. And Ashley's like, that's not Phoenix, that's the Raptor. What the hell is the Raptor? Like, can somebody fill me in on what the hell the Raptor is? Anyway, the astronaut's like, it turns powerful beings into building blocks for the wall. What wall? Like, are we talking about the source wall? Like, this ain't DC. And then I watched Rob's video, and he has way more inside information than I will ever have. Like, he talked to Murewa, and I guess, yes, this is the source wall in DC Comics. So yeah, I feel like a dumbass. And I never heard of the Raptor in DC, but Rob brought it up because either he knew about it or he has a team that knows about it. It's like that line, I know somebody that knows somebody that knows something about it. That's Rob. So now back to the comic. Storm's mom, who's not her mom, is telling her, you need to be reasonable, Aurora. Like, Death has an army numbering in the quintillions, if not more. Like, it's a lost cause. You can't fight them all. And Storm's like, bullshit. Bullshit. So the Storm's mom, who's not her mom, is like, you are so stubborn. Like, I don't think I ever met anybody so stubborn. And then Storm's like, I never met anybody who just wants to give up so easily. Like, I can't believe you're my mother who's not my mother. Now, mind you, as they're fighting, you can see fan letters just floating around. Like, one letter says, this is the best comic book series ever. It is, even though they're cutting it short. And then another letter says, who's the third Summers brother really? It's Vulcan, and I can't stand him. He's an asshole. And then another letter says, I can't believe you killed my favorite character. Murewa will kill anybody. Anybody in his series can get it. So Storm's like, okay, so we let the multiverse die, and then all of a sudden you want to recreate it. What if something's already here? Are we going to take them out just to recreate it to the way it was or way it used to be? So then she's like, what if you can't even create it correctly? And then Storm's mom, who's not her mom, just referenced Secret Wars and brings up how Franklin Richards and Molecule Man, with the help of Reed Richards and Sue and Johnny, created this multiverse that we're in right now. And then Storm's mom, who's not her mom, says this happens all the time, more than what you would think. Like, multiverses are destroyed and recreated constantly. And Storm's like, lies. And then, I'm sorry, like, I know I keep saying Storm's mom was not her mom, but I think she's something more than just human. Has to be. because she blasts Storm with something and pretty much tells her, you're not going back there. You're going to stay right here with... See what I did there? I did it just like they do in like Invincible. Instead of saying the word, I just put it up there. I think Murewa was trying to go for the same thing. So now we cut to the royal palace on Olympus, where Bogey is talking to Hera. Now, I'm not gonna lie. Like, Zeus is a son of a bitch. Like, the things that he's done to Hera is horrible. But this heifer cannot be left the hook. Because, whoo, my goodness. She's like the blueprint for every stuck-up female you've ever met. Bogey's trying to make small talk, and Hera's like, let me cut you off for a second. First off, what realm are you from? Bogey pauses for a second and is like, we helped the Olympians push back the alliance of the Yotar and the Gigantes. I hope I said that right. And Hera's like, oh, that horde affair? Zeus sought the help of many mercenaries for that battle, even the ones that were very unsavory. Well, there was one, no amount of scent oil can get rid of his stench. Whew. Their master stuck to high heaven. And Bogey's like, that's my master you're talking about. So Bogey's like, you know what? Forget that. I'm here on new business. I hear that you are very interested in the Earth Kingdom of Wakanda. So the Hera's like, do tell. And then Bogey finally introduces herself. So then we cut back to Storm, and she's still fighting her mom, who's not her mom. And now she's starting to cut deep, and she's like, you know what? You might look like my mom, but you are nothing like her. Because my real mom wouldn't request this of me. So then Storm's mom, who's not her mom's like, your real mom, huh? Real mother? Fine. Let's see what you would do differently if you was in my shoes. And she pushes her into like this flower, which is, I guess, is an opening to the Omniverse. I'm just trying to wrap my head around this. How is this woman so powerful? So at the bottom, Murewa gives a description of the Omniverse, which he tells us that we are included in that. That's why I was like, oh, so that's what he meant. Yeah, Omniverse. Includes everything. But she goes through multiple multiversal clusters, like the multiversal cluster of the blind idiot god. She goes to the multiversal cluster of magic and death. She goes to the multiversal cluster of sentient trash. That's right, that trash will whoop your ass. She goes through the macho multiversal cluster, which the one above all there is probably like, oh yeah, can you feel the macho madness? She goes to the multiversal cluster of war and lovers. So she finally lands on Earth 61391, the one above all's multiversal cluster. And I am confused as hell. Murewa, you need to explain this. You need to break this down to me. Actually, you probably already did. You probably explained it on Black Comic Book Lords. I'll just watch that issue, or that episode, or that live stream. I watched the live stream. That's no longer live, but I watched the replay. As he sticks her head above water, her daughter is standing on the ice cube and is like, hi, Mom. So confused. So then we come back to Olympus and we see this crazy looking sea monster is about to eat this centaur. And it's right behind where Hera sits on her throne. Because that's what kind of time that heifer is on. So before Bogey can say anything else, Hera's like, and let me cut you off real quick. If this has anything to do with Zeus's infidelity or another bastard that he sired, look, I no longer care about that shit. You know, where she found herself somebody else to give her. Besides, he swore that he would never do that again. Okay, sure. Once a cheater. Anyway, so Bogey gets into the whole thing about how she can deliver the vibranium of Wakanda to Olympus. And Hera's like, that's what you're offering. You know, we have our own precious metal and a Mancin. You know, like, we don't really need the vibranium. Which, I know, if you're reading this, you're like, when are we getting back to Wolverine? Soon, people. Soon.
So the Bogey's like surprised that she doesn't want the vibranium, and then she explains why she's there, because she wants passage through the underworld so that her armies can get the herbs so that they can whoop Storm's ass. So the Hare's like, you don't even have the vibranium then? And Bogey's like, no, but we will get it. And the Hare's like, how the hell you gonna come bargain about something that you don't even have? Like, how can you trade something you don't have? So Bogey pretty much makes up a story of how the Orishas are maybe plotting and planning to take out the Olympians, and how if they go in there, take the vibranium, take out the Orishas, the Olympians don't have to worry anything about that. But then all of a sudden Hades and Persephone shows up and pretty much ruins Bogey's plans. And they tell Hera exactly what Bogey really wants to do. And Hera's like, we can't have that now, can we? So it's looking bad for Bogey, and pretty much what her sister warned her what might happen seems like it's about to happen. Like, the Olympian gods seems like they're about to take her out. But Bogey, as she's crying, is like, you guys are too high and mighty. Before there was light, there was a cold, infinite darkness. And she starts changing, and Hera's like, it's the dark arts. And then Bogey's like, before gods, there were demons. And that same sea monster that was eating the Centaur is now eating Hera's ass, which is well deserved. So then we cut back to Storm, like she's in a bubble, she's knocked out. There's these crazy looking sentinels that are there, and they keep saying surround the Omega. I don't know if they're talking about Storm or they're talking about her daughter. Like, I don't know. They're not saying Omegas, they're just saying Omega. And we know Storm is Omega level, so I think they're after her. And there's all kinds of fighting and these crazy looking young X-Men. Like, it's nuts. And then we see right at the end, Storm's mom, who's not her mom, holding the comic book that we're reading right now. There is a very, very important detail that I missed. I totally missed. And I don't know how I missed it. Like, I don't know where I skipped over it. But I must have. I want to know if I'm just by myself. Like, you know, misery loves company. So let me know in the comments if you miss this detail too. I would say support this comic book series by visiting your LCS, but this is the last issue. So you can't support it no more. But you can support Murewa, please. My name is Dorian. This is Zessie of Comics. We are concluding our coverage of Storm with number 5. So we do a quick recap. This is where it starts, actually, of me like wondering that I missed something. In Storm number 4 of the original run, Egon killed Storm. In that same issue, Eternity came and made Storm his avatar. And then in the next issue, Storm, with the power of Eternity, clapped Egon's cheeks. I just want to remind everybody that Egon is not soft. He gave Sorcerer Supreme Doom everything he wanted and more. And if Storm, with Eternity, didn't step in, he might have got his cheeks clapped. Just like Dormammu was clapping Doom's cheeks. I don't care what anybody says. Doom was getting his cheeks clapped by Dormammu. And he got out of that situation with a technicality. But that's another story for another day. Now, also in issue 5, it shows that I guess she gave the essence of Egon to one of Maggot's maggots. And I'm like, I thought she ingested it, and that's why, you know, it took over her during Rogue Storm. Like, I missed this part, but it's an important part. You'll see here in a minute. Now, they also bring up how the 4 Storm gods attacked Storm in issue number 7, and how that started the whole Thunder War thing, and how she imprisoned 3 of them. That's going to be important too. Everything else happened in the very last issue, so I'm not going to go over that. A story officially starts off with somebody in the swamp, and they start doing a dance in the swamp. And then they turn around and they say, you have just witnessed the forbidden dance of the Egungans. Hope I pronounced that right. Probably didn't though. Then they say, you may now commune with the Ageless One. And then
there's this crazy looking, it looks like a gecko to me. It probably is not. I understand. You can roast me in the comments. That's not a gecko. That's whatever. Okay, well, it looks like the gecko to me. It looks like the Geico gecko, okay? Looks just like him, except for they're a different color. And they walk up on Storm, and we see exactly how big this thing is. And Storm's like, I seek a way back home. And he just goes, And then it just says, ill. And the Storm just crashes down in the water. And all of a sudden, somebody starts talking to her. Not the gecko, or not gecko. They're like, Aurora Moreau, what good has imprisoning your enemies done for you? Has your life stopped being in danger? Has your enemies reduced in numbers? Has your planet stopped being under the threat of destruction? Has your mental health improved? Has your virtues rubbed off on the people that you swore to protect? And then we see is punk ass Eternity. And he's like, say what you will about our time together, Aurora. When you were my host, at least you were powerful enough to no longer have to fear conquest. So of course, she don't want nothing to do with this dude, and she's like, how are you here? He's Eternity. He is a concept. He's everywhere. He is the universe. Actually, she does have a point, because technically she's in the DC universe, so what the hell is this Marvel ass doing here? Anyway, he says, calm yourself, child. Let me show you the cascading results of your folly, as he touches her forehead. You chose not to take Sengo's life as he asked. You chose mercy. You chose to imprison him in a pocket dimension. Your mercy nevertheless left Sengo's realm without a storm god to defend it. As we see Hadad, brought back to life by Mistress Death, who's in Dr. Voodoo's body, pretty much decimate Sengo's realm. My question is if Storm would have took his life, it would still have been unprotected. So this still would have happened. So what's the turn you talking about? So then we see Storm's sanctuary that's in France, and we see Armor trying to protect it from the FBI. Now, Eternity's trying to say Storm should be there to protect the sanctuary, but because she's not, the FBI is pretty much going to do what they want to do. And they're using a horrible technicality. Even though the sanctuary is in France right now, and they don't have jurisdiction in France. Because Storm's sanctuary was built in the United States, it is considered an enclave, and that it is considered U.S. territory, and they have all the rights to go in there if they want to. And just in case somebody got the problem, they got Galactus' daughter as their heavy hitter. And then we go to Haiti, where we see Storm and Dr. Voodoo's dead-ass brother, who's a spirit. I guess they got together, and he knows some black magic. They bring Maggot back to life, but because Egon was inside of Maggot, when they brought him back to life using this black magic, there was like a rebound, and that's why in the first issue you see old boy's head just get blown off as he's in the bathroom pissed off at his girlfriend, and then that's why you see his girlfriend's head just get blown off. It's all because of this spell. And the person who killed the mutant in the Storm Sanctuary was not a human, was not a mutant. It was a spell to bring back Maggot. And that's why Scarlet Witch is on the scene, because she's like, what the hell's going on? And Eternity feels like that Scarlet Witch might get in Storm's ass, because she says she's going to come for your head. I want to see that fight. I'm sorry. Like, I know Danko had Scarlet Witch beating Storm, and then it would have been a close fight, but no, I want to see this fight. Like, you know, I know Wanda's Sorcerer Supreme, and I know, you know, no more mutants and wiped out 98% of the mutant population. I got all that. I still want to see this fight. And now we're to the point where I'm like, how did I miss this? So then they show Akujin and her sisters, and how they are having all kinds of issues in the underworld. Like, they thought they could go through Tartarus and everything was going to be sweet. That ain't the case. They're getting their butts whipped. Now, they're doing enough of their whipping themselves, but it's going back and forth. And also, I didn't know that Akujin was Egon's general. I thought that she was there because of Sengo. Like, Sengo got imprisoned by Storm, and Akujin has an issue with that. Like, I thought this was all about Sengo and not Egon. Totally missed that part. Totally missed it. Am I the only one? Let me know in the comments.
Actually, now that I think about it, Akujin was in Rogue Storm, and she's the one who betrayed the X-Men to free Egon. So I should have put two and two together. I just didn't think it was the same person. I guess it was.
Anyway, Attorney's pretty much saying how Storm has made some very bad decisions and why she's in the predicament she's in right now. And the only way for her to get out of it is for them to become one again. And Attorney starts doing this thing and her outfit changes, so it looks like she's about to become Eternal Storm all over again. But then Storm brings up when she first got her powers and how her village had a drought, and how she used her powers to bring some rain so that the village could survive, which it did. But then what she didn't realize is that she just doesn't produce rain. She took the precipitation from somewhere else and brought it to where she was at. So the place that was going to get the rain did not. It suffered a worse drought than the one that was in her village, and people died because of it. But that's when she was a child. Now that she's an adult, she feels like she's making the same mistakes. And then Attorney is like, I know, but I'll make things better for you. And then Storm takes her power and cuts off Attorney's hand. And then she says a phrase in her native tongue, which translates as, when a child stumbles and falls, the child looks forward. But when an adult falls, the adult looks back. So then she starts checking Attorney, and she goes, yeah, I imprisoned Sango, but if I didn't, then he would have fallen with the other Orishas. So then she's like, and then the last time we merged, you made me kill Haddad. And Attorney's trying to clean up, yeah, I apologize for the betrayal, but that had to happen. And then Storm's like, well, because that happened, now Haddad is a part of the Army of the Dead, which he wouldn't have been if I just imprisoned him. Which we show the Army of the Dead have made their way to Araco, which I don't know if anybody told them, but Araco has some hard pipe hitting mutants in that one, boy. Everybody is Omega level. As we see a dead Haddad and a dead Galactus and Mistress Death in Dr. Voodoo's body about to take on Apocalypse. Murewa, you can't do this to me. Like, you can't sit there and have something like this about to go down and we don't see what happens. And then Storm's like, the FBI wouldn't even be at my sanctuary if it wasn't for you having your son in it, which is Abrascus. And we see Galactus' daughter just got all up in Armor's ass and is trying to get their prize. And then she explains how it was Eternity that put Egon in Maga's body, and if it wasn't for him doing that, then Akujin wouldn't be here doing what she's doing. And the only good thing about the Scarlet Witch trying to look for Storm is she shows up to the sanctuary and then she starts getting into FBI's ass. So Storm's like, you can say what you want to about my bad choices, but it was your manipulation that made me have to make those choices. So you can kiss my ass, Eternity. I said never again. I meant never again, as Eternity disappears. So then we cut to 6 years after the birth of Aurora Monroe. And her mom is in her hair, about to braid it. And whew, Storm got hair like mine. I'll tell you right now. Whew, it is thick, thick, thick hair. Thick. And then God had the nerve to make me tenderheaded. And Storm's asking a question, and they're speaking in Swahili. And she was like, if it was a gift, then how can you take it back? And her mom sounds like my mom. She was like, look, the food I cook for you and me braiding your hair, that's a gift of service. The toys that you have in your closet and the comic books that litter your floor, those are gifts. But our family heirloom is not a gift. It is an honor that I bestow to my daughter and my princess. And that can't be taken away. Now, if you notice, she's spraying her hair with H2O and coconut oil. And she is combing her hair out, and she is not being gentle. And she's probably braiding tight as hell, because you have to with hair that thick. So Storm's like, what's going to happen to the ruby? Are you going to bestow it to somebody else? And her mom's like, oh, that's the thing about honor. Like, you can lose it, but you can also earn it back. But then Storm is like, what about the kids in school? Like, they have no honor. You know, they talk about my hair because it's white. They talk about my eyes because it's blue. And she is an African, so she should not have blue eyes. And she's like, they even make fun of the way I speak, because she probably speaks proper. And they don't. So then Storm asks, why should I have honor when those around me don't? And her mother's like, you're asking the wrong question. The correct question would be, why not? So then we cut to the future where Storm's daughter is a part of some kind of freedom fighting force. And Storm wakes up, gets out of that bubble that she was in, and then starts whooping ass. All these futuristic sentinels that probably got all these little special powers don't mean a damn thing when it comes to Aurora Monroe, because she just takes them all out. Like, battle's over in seconds. So daughter walks up to her and was like, I was getting kind of scared you weren't going to do anything. Like, I've been telling them about all these stories about you, but you know, seeing is believing. So then Storm just gets to asking the question, and she's like, in this timeline, I'm dead, ain't I? And her daughter's like, yeah, you are. Now, the reason why I guess she got sent here by her mom, that's not her mom, is because her daughter has the family heirloom that Storm lost all the way back when she talked to the doctor that was going to treat her for the radiation poisoning, but ultimately sent her to Dr. Voodoo because there wasn't nothing he could do about that. Now, how did she get the jewel back? No clue. But I guess she got it back, and then she gave it to her daughter, which she's asking for it back because with the jewel, you can actually travel through dimensions with it. So she uses her family heirloom, the jewel, to get back to her universe. And on the very last page, we see her mother, that's not her mother, reading the same book. We see Akujan's sister, who's in Olympus, who was talking all of that noise about, oh, we're demons and we were before you guys and we're stronger. Don't tell that to the Olympians, because she got her cheeks clapped. I'm pretty sure these are the gods of Sparta, and that was like, we ain't playing this stuff. We saw 300 too. And Akujan is getting her cheeks clapped in Tartarus. And in Morocco, you got Death and her army is about to wreck shop. And I'm like, you can't do this to me, Murewa. Like, are you serious? Like, we need to know what the hell's about to happen out of Morocco. Like, I'll get to it in a minute. My goodness. And then at the Storm Sanctuary, Storm makes her return as she's standing right behind Galactus's daughter and is like, you might want to get out. So she got her cheeks clapped. Now we're to the point where I normally ask, how do you guys feel about this run? Did you love it? Did you hate it? I'm not even going to ask that. You could tell me if you want to, but I'm not even going to ask that. Me, I feel like this run is incomplete. It's incomplete. I love it, but it's incomplete. And I know it's not Murewa's fault. I know there was some kind of mandate that made him, or that they made him say, he only got 5 issues. And he knew he had way more story than 5 issues. But Murewa's a smart cookie. So hopefully he is going to be able to write maybe a mini-series about the mutants of Rocco. I'm sorry, them hard-hitting ass mutants of Rocco. And we find out what the hell happened with Mistress Death, because she's still on a rampage. She still wants revenge. Like, we can't just write that off like it never happened. And while we do that, we can also find out what happened with Akujan, because we know she makes it to Earth and she's going to fight Storm. And we know that Storm wins, but I want to know how this happens. I also want to find out more about Storm's mom, who's not Storm's mom. I mean, there is so many open ends in this story. It is not funny. Like, again, Murewa did a fantastic job And this came from up top. But this run's incomplete. And I don't care how it happens, but this run needs to get finished. Please. Because it was too good to be cutting short. My name is Dorian. This is SCM Comics. Thank you for listening to my TED Talk.